of $50. The first one is Shailene Whitehawk and Jonas Cote and Darren Shingus.
You have to be. I don't think that, it's up to you. They don't have to be in the room, I don't think.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
just
you
give
go
it to
ahead.
him.
Arlene, you go ahead. You go ahead, okay? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, right there. Where's Columbo?
Good afternoon again. Okay, after deliberation by myself, but anyways, I guess you have spoken. So all entities of Cote First Nation will be audited. All entities. Yeah, forensic, yeah. Yeah. So we'll have to try to find $800,000 for that. But I still want to go ahead with the amended trusts and the plan I talked about. I still want to go ahead with that. Yes, because there's good plans in there, and there's a good debt recovery that's going to be in there as well. But I still want to go ahead with that, and I still want to get the blessings from you guys. Okay? Sound good?
Hey, no Columbo here yet, anywhere. Where is he?
Oh, right here.
Oh, Ted. Okay, Ted Cusins will come up and do his thing, and then you guys, after Ted. I'll find out.
Check, Jeff, 1, 2. First of all, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a good afternoon. Okay, I got 15 minutes. I had a 2-hour speech prepared. But I'm here to, I want to be accountable as chairman of the board of the Pseudo Healing and Wellness Center. Also, I'm a senator of the FSIN. And I want to give you a little history on the Pseudo Healing and Wellness Center, and many of you know about it. It'll be 3 years ago that I got involved in the Pseudo Healing and Wellness Center. And there's a moratorium on beds across the country. There's no more healing wellness centers that are going to be set up. And one thing I do as an individual, I do not do proposals. Because proposals, you give the opportunity for government to say no to you and change. The way I operate is I negotiate. And the only reason why you guys see that wellness center going is because the direction comes from the people. We've done about 18 months of consultation with elders, with peoples from the 3 communities, and the call was to get a rehab center, which we got. Health Canada gave us a notice 3 years ago in regards to shutting down the center. We used to get $330,000 for the center because we weren't getting outcomes. It was an outpatient facility, but the people weren't coming there. So we changed the strategy. Well, let's go for an operation with beds, bringing people in, which we did. And as we moved forward, it took us over 18 months to negotiate with the federal government. We formed a committee we had representatives from each of the communities. We had elders from each of the communities. And we set up a negotiating team. We had the federal government at the table. We had the province at the table. We had Sunrise Health Region at the table. We had clinicians and administrators that we negotiated in regards to guiding the process, how we move forward. Once we did that, after 18 months, we negotiated $950,000 for operations, which wasn't enough. So the province, we negotiated with the province for an extra $350,000. And still to this day, they haven't come forward with their $350,000. Because in order for that center to operate the way it should, we should have an operating budget of $1.3 million. So every year in the last, going on 3 years, we've had a shortfall of $100,000 to $160,000. This coming spring, we're projecting $160,000 shortfall. And we already negotiated the shortfall for this coming spring. Because I made a commitment as a chairman of the board, and also with the chiefs and the board members, that we run that center on a balanced budget every year. This coming year will be our 3rd year with a balanced budget. And it's a 20-bed facility. One of the problems that we're having is a lot of people are asking, how come our local people are not coming to the center? There's a lot of local people that want to come. And we do get local people that come. But one of the things that happens is they leave midway through the process. And a lot of them say they're not ready. They're not ready to finish. The other problem we have is methadone. In order to accept methadone clients to our center, we have to have a full-time doctor and also a full-time nurse. So our in regards to operating our center, we got a management board. And that's one of the stipulations of Health Canada. We cannot have politicians sitting on the board. So we have a management board, a member from each of the First Nations that oversees the finances of the center. The management board reports up to the chiefs, which the chiefs in the 3 communities, we formed the Soto Pele Agency Health Alliance. And why did we do that? Is because we want to set up our own health authority. We've already set up our own health authority. We got it in place, and we're negotiating with Health Canada. We're also negotiating with the province. And if you are aware, the province, they used to have 12 health regions all over the place. Now they only have one super health region. And that's who we got to deal with in regards to moving forward. We negotiated just last spring. We got a 5-year commitment on a $4.8 million for the treatment center. So we're good for 5 years. Plus we're negotiating an extra $200,000 per year, so that's an extra $1 million. And once we get that negotiated onto the 4.8 million, we'll have close to $6 million. And that will fully facilitate the center in regards to operations. We have 22 employees. We have full-time employees, part-time employees, and casuals. And we got 100% of First Nations from our 3 communities working in that center. I do not get involved in management. I do not get involved in finances. I do not interfere with the operations of that place. We separated our ties once we formed our health authority. And we've negotiated with the 3 chiefs we are going to set up our health authority at the Cote band in one of their offices, and we're going towards a project, a $12 million project we're going after. And that project, under the health authority, we're negotiating with the province, with the federal government, the same process we went through with the treatment center. And what we're trying to get, we're negotiating. We got 14 doctors that we're working with. We're also working with nurses, and we want to get 10-bed palliative care, 10 beds for elders. We also like to get 10 beds for ICFS. Also, we're working towards a detox center within one of our 3 communities, and the key First Nations are going to be building a detox center. In regards to negotiations, where we are, where we're going, how long is it going to take? If everything goes well, we've had a couple meetings with ministers already. They've sent us their blueprint in regards to do the business plan, and that's complete. We're going back to Ottawa in the end of January with our 3 chiefs and start negotiating in regards to the plan that we put forward to the last. At the AFN Assembly, we put a presentation in front of the minister and her staff in regards where the 3 First Nations are going in regards to a health center for the 3 communities. It'll be a one-stop place for everybody to go to. Because one of the problems we're having is a lot of our patients, and I'll give you an example. All of you guys knew my son Frankie. He used to go to the hospital, and they said he had cirrhosis, liver. For 18 months, they said he had cirrhosis. By the time he got to the hospital in Saskatoon, it wasn't cirrhosis. He had meningitis in the brain. That's what he died of. And one of the things that's happening with our people in our community, when you have 6 or 7 deaths in a week, in 1 week, there's something wrong. And that's the problem. There is racism within the Kamsack Hospital. Every one of you probably have experienced that. There's racism in the health region in Yorkton and any other hospital you go to. It is not culturally safe to be an Indian or a Métis or an Inuit to go see a doctor. Because all they do is grab a piece of pen, listen to you for 5 minutes, and give you a prescription. And all we have is opioid drugs. Hard drugs are in the community. And who has to stand up? Everybody always wants leadership to stop the drugs. And my point on that, it's us as individuals, it's our responsibility as individuals. Because I talk about value, every person has value. Every individual brings value to who you are and what you are. And what we're trying to do with the three communities is work together to make things happen. Because if we set up, when the Sunrise Health Region was set up, the 3-band share of money when they were operating should have been $103 million. And I'll tell you, our 3 communities weren't getting that. And this is the reason why that we went towards our own health authority. So that's the goal, that's the vision that we have. The chiefs, we went on a retreat, we set up a vision. And what we want to do, we had a summit at the OCC in regards of what are the concerns and issues of band members in regards to the healthcare system. And we went to the high school students of the 3 communities. And those high school students set out that vision. They set out the footprint, and that's what we're starting off with. And I'm going to be coming around to each of the 3 communities, interviewing people, setting up what are your concerns and issues. Once we get those concerns and issues on a 20-foot chart, what I'll do is I'll come back to every individual and ask them to validate all those concerns and issues on a chart. From the validation process, we set up priorities. What are the priorities of the First Nations members? Then implementation. And it's always, the question is always, is the how. How do you do it? This project that we're working on, it's not going to work unless we go to the people. And that's why we have a treatment center today, is because the people made it happen. And it just goes to show the power of people. People are the power. People, you delegate your leadership to move forward and do things. And you must not ever forget that. You wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the people. And that's the angle, and that's the process that I'm using in regards to this $8 to $12 million facility. We're going to be interviewing the schools, the kids. We're going to interview the teachers. We're going to interview all the administrators in each of the band offices. And we're going to interview the chief and councils and ordinary citizens, elders and women. Because everybody has priorities. Chief and council have priorities. Health Canada has priorities. The health regions have priorities. But I always say this, when do we ever go to the people and ask them what their priorities are? And that's exactly the angle we are going with. It's going to the people to bring the plan to the chief and council for the chief and council to implement. And that's talking about full engagement and full inclusion of everybody. Because when you're left out, you criticize things. If you don't know what's going on, you criticize things. So we want to make everybody to be part of it. In order for it to work, everybody's got to buy into the project. If the people don't buy into it, well, we drop the project. Simple as that. And that's how I do consultation with members. I'm not a consultant. I'm a facilitator. So, with that, my friends, if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer them. But that's the strategy and that's the plan. And we're starting those strategy sessions in January, probably mid-January with the 3 communities, with the administrators, the teachers, the leadership, the federal government, the province, every one of them. And all that information will be put on a chart and be brought back to everybody to look at and review, criticize. If your concern is not on there, well, we'll add it on there. So with that, my friends, I guess like I said, I got some notes here. It has to be community driven and it has to be directed by the people. And it has to be about Dapui Win. Dapui Win is truth telling. We got to be truthful. You know, when we interview you, you cannot hold back. You got to be straightforward and honest of what your concerns and issues are. Because if you don't bring them out, we can't deal with them. There has to be transparency. There has to be accountability. You know, all of us look at our leadership and we ask them to be accountable. But each and every one of us as individuals, we have to be, me as an individual, I got to be accountable also, and I got to be transparent. So it's power of the people, and that's my tool when I do projects in communities. So with that, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer them. Thank you. There's some water there. Do you have any questions on that?
Nobody have any questions for Columbo? No? Oh, okay. Robbie?
Good afternoon, everybody. That was a good presentation. The only question I have is when you said you wanted to open up some new facilities, what's your time frame for those new facilities, your 10-bed facilities? And have you considered training young women or young men in the community for nurses or for those jobs? And if you were going to, that's been considered, you should get on it as soon as possible. That way, when the facilities are done and up and running, you'll have your young people trained for those jobs so we can create jobs within our community, right? So that's the only question I have is training, right? Is there training dollars involved in your proposal? Train young people on the 3 communities to be nurses, you know, whatever kind of jobs that are going to be created from these facilities, you know. So that's the only question I have for you.
Okay, it's going to be a 40-unit facility, and the training and the people that we have to have is part of the business plan, so it's in there. And we have to work with CGCEC and all our different organizations in regards to the training component. Because we'll need training for home care. I think we got a lot of home care workers. One of the things we're lacking is nurses. We couldn't even hire a nurse. We hired Bev Whiteock, and the province gave us 2 nurses. We hired Bev Whiteock, and we couldn't even get a second one. And the reason we couldn't get a second one is the process that the government have of their unions, and that's something that we're negotiating with the unions right now. There's a lot of First Nations nurses, but a lot of them aren't up to. There's lots semi-retired nurses, and we'd like to get all First Nations nurses. There's a lot of white nurses that want to come and work with us, but there's also a lot of First Nations nurses that are semi-retired or going to retire, and then those are the people we'd like to use.
I remember a few years back, Causes had a program on reserve where they trained Aboriginal nurses, right? I don't know if it was in the fort or if it was right on the reserve. And they had graduates that moved on from that training into the health field in the cities. And these were First Nations nurses that took the training. And is that a possibility? Bring that kind of training here for the 3 First Nations in the community?
Well, right now the training process for nurses is happening through SIT, and we got a big graduation group coming this year. And if anything, we could get training right within the 3 communities would be the angle to go. You know?
I think that would be the best angle, because that way people wouldn't have to move to the city. You know, because when you're training for those kind of jobs, there's not a lot of money for living allowance, right? And a lot of them have a hard time trying to make ends meet in the city. A lot of them have young families, so for them to pick up and move, you know, it's kind of a struggle, right? It's a culture shock, especially if you've never really lived outside the community, to move to a city and learn how to survive in the city.
But in regards to like your questions and your recommendations and ideas, that's exactly what we want to hear from everybody when we do our consultation meetings, because we're going to have them at the Cote Band Hall. We'll make it public to everybody to come, and we'd like to do at least 2 sessions a month, right to end of March, to each of the 3 communities, because we got to have input, because everybody has ideas, and that's the only way we could get the buy-in from the people. Because if we don't have the people behind us in doing this project, it's not going to happen. And that's the angle I used with the treatment center. It's not going to work unless the people pressure our leadership and the federal, provincial, and the health regions to do what has to be done. Because all they do, Health Canada right now, There's escalation issues in our communities, like our funerals, our overdoses, our suicides. How do they de-escalate it? Well, they come to the communities here. I'll give you $20,000 to work on a little project, or I'll give you $60,000 to work on a little project, and that's all they do. And we're trying to get them away from that. And what we do is just keep on escalating. We tell it's about truth telling. What's really happening in the communities with our healthcare system? You know, elders waiting 3-4 hours when they have heart conditions. You know, that's not right. Like we got doctors right now. Whoever needs hip surgery, we could have it done in 3 months. Through the healthcare system, you have to wait anywhere from 18 months to 3 years for hip surgery. And that's the difference we want to make.
Okay, so my next question. What is the possibility of having our own clinic or small hospital for the 3 First Nations in the community? Why do we have to keep going to town? Why do we have to go to the clinic, go to the emergency? That one doctor gets $300 or $400 each patient he sees in the emergency for less than 5 minutes. What's the matter? What do you need? Let me see. Okay, here you go. Next. And then he's at the clinic, 7 o'clock. First 5 or 6 patients. What's the matter? What do you need? Let me see. Okay, here you go. Your prescription will be at the drugstore. Dealing with racist nurses, staff. It's not a good feeling when you go to those places and you're treated like that. First Nations were a $1 billion industry. It starts at the big pharmacies, the doctors, the hospitals, the clinics, the drugstores, the RCMP, and lastly, the funeral homes. All of those organizations and businesses are making money from us. They're cashing in. That new drugstore in town, that young couple that opened that drugstore, they opened up another one in Northway. They're cashing in big time. They're making money from the people's addictions, the people's health problems. Why can't we have our own clinic on reserve, our own doctors, our own pharmacy? If we all pull together, I'm sure we can make that a reality, right? That's something that we should look into as well. Why can't we have our own clinics, a small hospital? On my dad's reserve in California, they have that. They have doctors and nurses that come to the reserve, and the patients go and see them at their clinic. So if they can do it, I don't see why we can't. That's something that we should look into as well.
Well, that's exactly what we're going after, what you just mentioned. That's the plan.
Hello.
Mr. Stock, I have been doing that for a while.
Pardon?
Can't hear. Oh. I never been there for quite a while, but I would be very interested to see the program in the treatment center. And I think about it all the time. And also, I was going to ask you, how come they don't have any traditional people here that help them with the natural resources?
Ask what?
The natural medicines that our people use a long time ago to help in the treatment. I know that old fellow in Ontario got medicine for the addiction and also to flush the poisons out of the body. And if you want to know more about it, you want to take this here. Government gives them 4 patients a month. And out of those 4 patients, 3 are successful and maybe 1 doesn't make it. I mean, these are avenues that you could look at. And somebody mentioned over there that we're a healthy industry, you know that, huh? Keep us sick and all messed up and we keep those buggers rich in town. Or otherwise they wouldn't have us in there. It's not too long ago. They come and said, you know, one day we're going to find a way to get rid of you guys. You bring nothing but trouble to our community. You travel with all these diseases, drugs and all that kind of stuff. We're not lightning town. The only reason why we are allowed to go there is because we bring a lot of money to us. We didn't know that lately. I'm not allowed to go there. I mean, there's a lot of things that are doing good that are very good. But I mean, you can expand on those things also.
No, there's always room for improvement. We're the only center in the country that use our elders, dealing directly with the issue of trauma. All the other centers across the country do not deal with trauma. We also got a Christian component in our center because about the respect of each other. I always have this saying: if you're a Christian and you criticize traditionals, you're not a Christian. If you're a traditional and you criticize Christians, you're not a traditional. So within our center, it's very, very positive. And you know, there's always room for new ideas, how to do things, and everything comes with a cost, you know. No, we're open to any ideas.
Yeah, because I asked not long ago if I would want to share your patients. They said you're not allowed to come in here. And they said, "You." Why? I don't know.
I said you weren't allowed in there?
Somebody told me that.
Well, this is what I talk about, truth telling. No such thing. No such thing there, big fella.
Anyway, what I'd like to say is, come and invite me to come and share.
Pardon me?
Come and invite me to come and share with your clients.
That's not my duty as chairman of the board. There's a treatment director there. I don't get involved in management or hiring people. Period. It's not my job.
Okay, sober.
Is this with the wellness center yet? Claire, you still want to ask questions about the wellness center?
Are you still on that subject?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Which one? Okay, well, where we're going to next?
The one I'm,
Which one are you after, Claire?
I want to speak on behalf of the little children, the young people, the future, what we call future generations. But it seems like they're always forgotten. We have to come down to earth and start planning what we have in future for these children. I see them every day where I live. Nothing to do. And if they're outside playing, they're playing with sticks and playing war. Now what does that give you? The thought of the violence. They see so much of that on TV, so they're acting that way. And you know, if they were kept busy, like, you know, there's people here that could work with those young people. Get out there and get them active. They like sports, they like hockey, they like ball games. I see that, you know, but There's nothing out there for them. No place to play. And if they do play people's yards, they don't want people to play in their yard because of the windows and, you know. And there's other spaces around the playgrounds, out in the reserve. There's the open field there where they could play, have a playground for the children, where they could play sports, put an outdoor there for them. That's one thing that I really enjoyed when I was in school. Skating outside, lights on in the evening, you know, really entertaining. And you get more active that way, you know, you can skate. I used to like skating when I was in school. You know, we could do a lot of things for these young people. Get off your ass and get on your feet and start doing muscle work around the reserve to keep our children active and happy. And it's up to the parents to, you know, I know they don't like to hear it, but it's up to the parents, you know, to guide them, to teach them. You know, I hear so much talk about money and all other things that, you know, and we forget about the little ones. That are going to go right back to the same track we are going through. Fighting one another, arguing one another, disliking one another. You know, there's so much hate and jealousy. I've been here 14 years and that's all I see and hear. And it's so sad because we are brothers and sisters. We have to get along and teach our children. You know, it's so sad to see when they start playing cowboys and, you know, pretending to shoot. That's practicing to me. You know, they'll get violent. They'll really use those skills because that's all they see and learn. So let's get off our high horse and do something for them. Let's work together and shake hands and say, good day, my friend. Now let's work with the children and make them happy, make them respectable. Someday they'll be the next ones to teach children how to play and how to get along together. That's my concern, so thank you for listening.
Thank you, Claire. But the chief mentioned that earlier. He's going to put some playgrounds and that in for everybody from up east to across the river to around the village. That was one of his opening remarks. So yeah, we're working on it. So our next thing we're going to go into is our community navigators, which is Arlene and Robbie. Go ahead, guys. You guys got 15 minutes.
All right. Good afternoon. Aninjaga Ginawa. Good afternoon, my name is Rob Cote. I'm one of the navigators. My partner there is Arlene Panay. We started in February. We got a very interesting job. Our job is, we're called navigators, but we should be really called planners. I'm a navigator, but it seems I'm always lost. But we're working as best we can. We're in a position where nobody else ever had this job before. And we're given a certain amount to do it, and they tell us, get this job done. So that's what we've been doing since February. We're just part-time. We're only 2 days a week we get paid for. I've been working 4 weeks on the road now, so I kind of forgot where I lived for a while, but back in Badgerville. So it's good to be home, and it's good to be here today. First page. This is a very interesting project. It's called a Community Comprehensive Plan. And when we talk about planning for the future, everybody knows how to do that. Indian people have been doing that for time immemorial. That's how we survived this long. So now we actually have some funding available that we can plan out for down the road. And I always think of it like the treaties. Our grandfathers had the foresight to sign, touch the pen, in order to survive as a people. So now it's up to us. We know everybody talked about our problems, and now it's up to us to figure it out, and let's fix their problems. You know, not for our generation, for the next ones coming up. It touches, when you looked at the audit previous there, with all those numbers, Cote First Nation is a multi-million-dollar business. And we work in every portfolio, and I'll tell you, it gets overwhelming after a while. You know, you gotta thank our leaders to put themselves in that position, because you gotta be knowledgeable in everything. And especially when we're working against Munya Shak, they use the law on us all the time. Every which way you look at it, it's a lawyer's opinion. So we gotta have the tools and technologies to survive in this country. If we're gonna prosper and develop own source revenue, this is what we gotta do. And right now we touched mostly in every portfolio: education, housing, infrastructure. Justice is a big problem in our area. Health, culture, social economy, governance. We're working on the Constitution, lands and resources. Like I said, my partner is Arlene. We've been going to every city, and we had a few on the reserve. We're at the community camp, and we'll be continuing for the next few months, but we're gonna try to have our first draft done by end of January. And we also been working on a website development, which is a big factor. The next generation, everybody has phones and technology, and what we're finding out is our communication. We need better communication amongst our own departments, our own businesses, we need better communication. Well, hopefully we acquired some funding to do a website, and hopefully that will clarify our problems down the road, where, you know, we just go to one page and everything's there. All the Facebook pages are all linked. That's what we're working on right at the moment. And we introduced our project on the very first General Assembly ever broadcast on Cote live stream. We had that in April. We were part of that. And now we're December. We did Treaty Day surveys, community wake at the community camp. September, we did one at the school here. And then we were going to do our own staff, but that's been postponed. In service, it's coming up in January. And then November, December, we were at the Christmas bonuses. I'll tell you something, right now, there was 112 people in attendance here, 141 watching live stream, and that's not a correct number. We'll get our numbers probably tomorrow, but there's a lot of First Nation Cote band members watching this as we speak. So people are concerned about our First Nation. And when we are out traveling, you know, our people are so proud to be from Cote. We are giving away toques, hats, t-shirts. Everybody wanted one or two, and with our budget, we can't afford it. We have to say no to a lot of people, but we try to accommodate as many people as possible. And right now, we're at this General Assembly, a positive turnout. You know, it's good to move forward, and that's our theme for community comprehensive planning. We got to move forward. We got to solve our problems. We got to do it ourselves. On Treaty Day, we did 147 surveys, and I'd like to thank everyone who did one. I did one too, and it's like 51 pages. You have to sit there and answer, and it's time consuming, and it seemed to be a drag, but I'd like to thank everybody who completed one. Thank you very much. And our themes were health, housing, education, culture, and economy. One thing, we are very, very fortunate. We still have elders and we still have speakers. There's communities across Canada that don't have their language. You know, we gotta make an attempt to retain it. We got a beautiful school here. We should be pseudo immersion. You know, we gotta move forward. We also did some interactive posters in the urban centers where people come and put their ideas up on our boards. And we got the result, we'll share later, but right now we're just gonna do an update. And then this was the 5 questions we did for our urban off reserve. Oh no, this is the education one. Where do you send your children to school? What are the most important factors deciding where to send your children at school? What educational services and programs do your family access in the community? And what educational services and programs does your family access outside the community? And how could we improve our education systems? That was part of the survey. And this one's we're gonna do in January. And this is our off reserves survey. And we have a lot of relatives out there. How do you stay connected with Cote? This is a very interesting question. A lot of people still have relatives back home here. Word of mouth, telephone. Another one was social media. You know, everybody with Facebook, but there's still a lot of people that don't have internet. And how can we meet the better needs of our Cote First Nation members? There was some interesting comments. Of course, health. A couple urban centers wanted satellite offices. And what services do you need as an urban member? Very interesting. Housing is a big factor in our urban centers. We have a lot of homelessness people living in the streets. You know, they want to come home, but how can we accommodate them when we can't accommodate our own houses here? So housing is very important.
I think that Robbie, just to, in the area of what services that they wanted as urban members, the top 4 themes from those surveys, number 1 was education, number 2 was healthcare and support services, number 3 was housing, and of course 4 was transportation. So those were some of the needs that were expressed by our off-reserve families.
Okay. And the last question, would you ever consider moving back to Cote? I think it was 34%. It might
23%.
23%.
23% said yes, they would love to go back home. 34% said no. They're set up, they're good, they're got schools, and 43% said maybe. And of course, I think a lot of the feedback there was related to, of course, housing, right? Given the shortage in housing, so.
Okay, and we completed 338, and I think 330 were readable. I think 8 they couldn't figure it out. And then we have future engagements coming up next year. We're gonna definitely involve our youth. You hear our elders talking about our youth and the importance of their input. We definitely gonna include them. Also our elders, we value your opinion. And then we're gonna do our in-service. And then we gotta come up with this big plan here, comprehensive community plan that we gotta figure out. So we're gonna have a first draft, hopefully by end of January, February. We're kinda probably be reality then. And then implementing the plan, we've been involved in other things besides navigation, website development. We're on the constitutional with governance. We attended the navigators provincially, and I just come back from the national conference. And one of the concerns we had regarding our funding was we get $78K to run this program a year, and Keys has very smaller numbers, and they get the same amount as us. So I addressed that to our regional director, and we're going to get an increase, but still, they give us 3 years of funding. What we need is another 3 more to implement our plan. Like, what's good is a plan if we don't have the resources to put it in place? So that's a big concern coming from all the navigators across Canada. And at this time too, I'd like to thank on behalf of Arlene and my family wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and safe holidays. Holidays are a very stressful time for people, and I think they put too much hype on Christmas, but that's my personal opinion. But Merry Christmas anyway. Any questions or answers? We're here to answer any questions. Oh, James has one. Huh? Okay, don't keep talking.
The survey said that a survey done, and, they can maybe sort of take a direction from membership, how are you gonna follow up on it? Have you got plans, is it purpose? Survey?
Actually, we already have them in a report, so they're already done. We just got a photocopy of them, and if you want a copy of them, it'll be available.
My concern is, it's always been, and I'm an advocate for, language retention in our family trees in our East or reserve. Kinship is another big thing. And, our kids have to, really have to follow up on that. Because we know we're too closely related sometimes. And, it's not a joke. It may like a Don Bernstein joke or something. We're going to have kids here, it's going to be proper after a while. We get our blood is too close together. And that's a concern. And, maybe down the road, it might happen and run around. Something like that is tough. And the retention of our language. Very basic. We want to call ourselves, you call those, people, nations where, we have to have our language, we have to have a source of income, we have resources, but we have to bring some income. And of course, our language, we have to retain our language, and all the other things like self-government, and we like to call ourselves, I forget that word, I'm kind of blanking out here. Some kind of people that are always telling us when politicians are making, Indian politicians are making speeches, running right beside it, for certain kind of people, but we gotta have all these, we have that mission here. If we want to be those kind of people, we have to have language, sort of income, and of course our language, we have language, stuff like that. I'd like to see your plan on retention, and there is still some speakers out there that can probably contribute to your cause. Use them while they're still here. There's some in that out here, and there's some out there. Use them to the full extent while they're still here. We wait till we're done. Thank you.
Thank you. All the information that we get isn't Arlene and I. It's Cote band membership. They're the ones that put the input in, and we're getting some really great ideas from our membership. One was out of the surveys was our traditional lands up in Peepaw. We acquired some funding that we're going to look into it. We got to do something to preserve it and keep it ours. But we need everybody's help. Thank you.
Hello? I'm listening to my friend who was speaking at the back there about, and he mentioned our land basing. Something we need to be aware of. I was taught this as a little boy when I was growing up by my uncles on both sides of my family, that the lights are going to go out someday. It might be in our generation, we don't know. But if you look around the world, what's happening? Fire, California burned right out. There's earthquakes, there's volcanoes, there's storms, there's mudslides all over. And the earth is warming up. I think in regards to language retention, that's the number one thing for me, but also we need to go back and learn to live off the land, I believe. We have to be prepared. We have to prepare our children for that. Because what you people taught me, I see it happening today, My old uncle said there'll be a big controversy over money on Cote Band, and I heard that today, you know? I see these things happening. So when they tell me that, like, I wanna go out, there'll be no TV, there'll be no source, maybe a cell phone, how you gonna charge your cell phone battery, stuff like that, eh? So I think we need to really get down to earth and look at reality here. We need to learn to live off the land again. And we need to preserve our land resources as much as we could, like peat plow, you mentioned peat plow. But we also have imagination and stuff, you know, we need to get that back. I like the comment what the chief made at the conference here the other day about our children. We're not gonna ask permission anymore. We're just gonna take back what's rightfully ours, and I think that's what we need to do. Just take back what's ours, never mind asking permission. Go out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. Actually, language and culture is in our top 3 priorities that come back from our surveys. And also, when you mentioned floods and that, we actually going into public safety, which includes flooding, storms, snowstorms. It covers everything. We're going to be going to training in end of January, and then we're going to bring it back to the band members. Thank you.
Anything on PFAS?
We're just gathering information now, but it's been ongoing since the late 90s. Yeah.
One of our neighbors here that just wants to share a little bit of their vision in regards to PFAS planes.
Yes, the more the better, and we'd love to hear your information.
Hi, my name is Martha Cusack, and I'm a neighbor to my Cote relatives. I have been a spokesperson for a family or a little plan for a number of years in terms of what the government is doing with the PFAS planes and how they're continuing with their plans with the parks. And we're at the point where it's now in the throne speech. So the plans for the provincial and federal government are in the works already. It's already in legislation. We have an opportunity before March to put a position paper together or to bring to acknowledgement to the rest of Saskatchewan or even Canada that the government continues to take our land, and they're going to continue to take it. Unless we start making noise and we start making a voice and we start uniting in terms of what that looks like. We're supposed to have a meeting. Like I'm trying to draw attention to this, and I feel like I'm falling on deaf ears, especially with politicians and our local government. Like that introduction to that throne speech, I haven't heard yet from any of our people in the area any kind of opposition to it. And that went to that already is in the media. Like nobody from our side over here had opposed to it or made a position or made some kind of statement that we're opposing it. Like the rest of the Saskatchewan doesn't know. So unless we collectively unite and put a paper together what that's going to look like for us in the future, the government is going to go ahead and do what they want with it. And that like your presentation of your circle there, that identifies people planes right there. That's everything we talk about. That's culture, justice. That's people with treatment. That's everything. That's all up how we were raised up in people planes. That's our foundation. That's our culture. That's our values that we were raised on. And here the government is turning it into a park. So unless we put a position paper and somebody goes and speaks in front of the legislative, they're just going to go ahead and pass it by March. So we need to get together and unite to do something about it now. Put a paper together, put a position together, Like even if we want to go as far as civil, we could have another standing rock up there. We could, you know, like bring awareness to it. That's where we started from, part of where we came from. And yet, you know, we need to start getting together and make that known.
Thank you for your comments, and those are very valuable comments. Just to let you know, in January, the 3 First Nations chiefs are calling a community meeting together to put our ideas forward. So you're more than welcome to come and present. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on what I think was talking about in the back. That was a reserve one time people are playing. I've seen the map, and it's 25 by 25. And that old guy that they called, forget his name, but New Word Upstate. And an old man that lived there a long time was big man, they called him. Yeah, very good guys. And nobody could get on that land. A lot of guys were on there. And I think what had happened there, we were told later that some of our band members, the 3 reserves, done a survey out there. They had money for it. And after they had done the survey, they didn't do the survey themselves. People telling me. And the guy said the biggest mistake they made is when they had it, the results of the government. You'll never do that as government. Because once you pass that over, then you claim that they give you the money. And that's why I know when they're having that meeting up north, and I asked Columbo, why don't you guys fight for the status of reservation? And he said, no, that's so much work. And I said, well, what the hell are we going to do? You know, that's a big place you have over there. If they take it, they clear cut right around over the mountains there. And that place is not bothered because of it. Now they want to take it. And the lady's right there. I don't know how we're going to do it. You got to fight for that. Yeah, and we got enough people there. We got good leaders, old people. And John Bird talked about the history of that place. And it's on for 1,500 years now about the history of that place. And that's where our medicine chest is. All kinds of ceremonies and everything that happens up there. People come from all over. Creed, no matter who, they stay there all summer. There's a rich history. I thought that here that is worth fighting for. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Thank you, and we'll do a door prize before we finish off here. Arlene, grab a. Okay, for $100 MasterCard, the winner is Cool Kadot. Yeah. All right. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
All right. Well, we'll move along here on our thing here. We'll go down to the health now. The health will do their speeches now, health, and then we'll go to new beginnings after them. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Darlene Bryant, and I'm the health director for Cote. I've been employed as a health director since May of 2015, May 1st. To date, we have 24 staff in our department. I have some stuff over there. We have our 5-year plan. We have our report on new beginnings, some of the staff, and a list of all our health staff there. So if anybody wants stuff, it's there. Health has been very busy within the last 2 years, and many of our thanks go out to the Chief and Council for the support of our programs, and to the people at Health Canada, because they've given us so much assistance within the last 2 years, in just trying to help us. In trying to help us better our community and bettering our own health. With the funding that we received from Health Canada within the last 2 years, our staff grew from 16 to 24. So we've really been able to employ more people within the health field. In health, we deal with many issues, and at the moment, our biggest problem that we have to deal with is our drug addiction and the effects that it has on our community and on the people. The IV drug use in our area is high, and because of the addiction, we have a high rate of HIV and Hep C. The devastation of our drug usage is apparent in our community with the ongoing social problems, housing problems, mental health problems, child apprehensions, homelessness, poverty, and hunger. On June 10th of 2016, we had a Dr. Abraham Khan come out to our band, and he declared an HIV crisis within the Yorkton and surrounding area. This included Cote First Nation. You know, before Dr. Khan came out and made that declaration, we were working on bringing education and awareness in regards to HIV and providing a harm reduction program, which was just a needle exchange program to our people. And this was a way of trying to combat the drug problem, but it wasn't enough. And we understood the reason for the high rate of addiction and the fact that many of our people have underlying issues that need to be dealt with. And if they were to deal with them, they needed to do it in a place that was safe. Trust is a big issue with our people. No one seems to trust one another. You know, we've been hurt so many times over the years that we no longer trust each other. These issues stem from the oppression that we've been through, the residential schools, the 60s scoop, etc. The majority of these issues fall under our 4 abuses, and that's the mental, the physical, the emotional, and the social. The hurt that our people experience has been passed down through the generations. It's not going to be easy to deal with all this hurt, but we have to try, and if we want our community to be one that's safe, respectable, and prosperous. When the opportunity came to address the issues, we had to work really hard because we knew we were given 24 hours to come up with some kind of a plan, a proposal. And we went and we ended up creating what you call the New Beginnings Center that's in the town of Kamsack. We used to put on workshops, try and have education and awareness sessions, but you know, people didn't show up. People didn't come out to our workshops and that. And the people that we were trying to get into our workshops, the people that we really needed to talk to, they were hanging around the streets of Kamsack. So one of the things that was decided was to open up a center right in Kamsack so that we can get most of them coming in there. So we opened up New Beginnings, and New Beginnings has been a success from the day it first opened its doors. The response is so overwhelming to that place. You know, we've had to lobby for more and more employees to help keep up with the workload. The staff of New Beginnings are doing a really good job, and the center is being used right now as a pilot project for Health Canada. And people are watching to see how it's managed and if it will be successful. There was some comment made about allowing certain things to be done in the center and certain things that cannot be done in the center. This place needs to be healthy. We need to provide healthy programs. We need to be honest. And we need to, when we provide our programming, we have to be honest. It has to come from the heart. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. And that's that's what's happening with our staff at New Beginnings. They're making a big impact on our people, and they're doing really good. And that's all I'm going to say about New Beginnings, because Wanda is going to come up and do her spiel on it. In HIV/AIDS, we are doing some testing. We have a worker that promotes awareness and educational activities. She provides the harm reduction program. We're promoting testing, prevention, and supporting people that have been diagnosed with HIV/AIDS. So we've gotten, since we had the crisis, we've had the backing of Health Canada, and they've been giving us so many programs, so much dollars to help us not only deal with stopping the spread of HIV/AIDS, but also in dealing with all underlying issues that we have. So we have Shailene working. She works out of the New Beginning Center from 9 to 12, and then she works at the health clinic from 1 to 4. So if at any time you need to access services, she's there. But in regards to the HIV/AIDS, we're asking people to be tested. The reason we're asking for the testing to be done is that it's not a death sentence anymore. People need to understand that with medication and proper care, you can live a long life if you have it. So just encourage each and every one of you, we need our numbers to keep our programs going. We've had testing done at New Beginnings. The response to the testing was overwhelming. We had so many people. We didn't have enough time in a day to test everyone. But we want to do the same thing at the band level. And we want to let not only our people here, but the people at Health Canada know that, there's a certain percentage of us that do and do not. I guess our true numbers is what I'm trying to say. We need to have our true numbers and, make sure people access care. So with that, we've also started up our youth center. We have 2 youth workers. We received funding within the last 2 months to run a youth center. At the moment, the youth center is being renovated, and but the programs are still going on. They're being held in the Recplex, the band hall, the health clinic, and they'll be doing so until the center is completed. Right now, the workers are busy collecting stats, and same as New Beginnings, they're going to be doing determining what kind of issues the youth need to work on, and they'll be assisting the youth in what they can. So we're hoping, maybe within the next week and a half, the center will be completed. We had it going for a while this summer, and it was really good, but because the building needed renovations, it couldn't keep on going. The safety had to be considered. We have mental wellness. We have 2 therapists that are working. We've got Rob Kirk and we've got Mike Gunn. We had Rob Kirk has been working with us for quite a few years, and he was filled to the max. He came out 4 days a month. There wasn't enough time to see everybody and to treat everybody that needed to be treated. And since the opening of New Beginnings, we opened up what you would call a can of worms. You know, everybody now that they've been seeing peer mentors, they've been seeing what it is to live a totally different life from the addiction. So they've been reaching out and getting help. And because they've been reaching out, there wasn't enough time, like I said, with Rob Kirk alone. So we went back to Health Canada and we asked them if they can give us more monies for a therapist. We've got a therapist working now at New Beginnings. He's there 2 days a week. His days are full. I went and spoke with him the other day, and he says his door is just never ending, opening and closing. So he's got a lot of people taking advantage of his services. In addictions, we've got 2 of the workers. The goal in the addictions is to increase awareness and understanding concerning alcohol, substance abuse, and helping the clients in finding an alternative healthy lifestyle. They help them go to treatment centers, detox centers, and just specializing in the effects of addictions and providing ongoing support. Brighter Futures is to improve the quality of and access to culturally appropriate wellness services at the community level, to help create healthy families, to promote health, prevent ill through learning-related activities, strive to increase awareness, change attitudes, build knowledge, and enhance skills. You know, some of our things that we work with in Brighter Futures is the self-esteem, healthy relationships, bullying, anger management, family violence, gang awareness and prevention, suicide prevention, depression, stress management, counseling, infant and child safety, parenting programs, and injury prevention. The CHR and the community health nurse, they work with regular baby clinics. They increase their goal, I guess, is to increase the health of the infants in the community, to have regularly scheduled immunization clinics, provide community education on available vaccines, provide incentives, and to identify community-specific barriers to better health, to promote community members with access to health services, and to coordinate the preventative, educational, and treatment services between the community and all partners. Home care. We have 4 home care workers. We have 3 on a full-time basis, and we have 1 on a part-time basis. They're there to help the community members living with chronic and acute illness, and in maintaining optimum health, well-being, and independence in their homes, and yet still being able to stay within the community. They provide home and community nursing services to the client in their homes. There's 55 people within the community that the home care nurse sees as clients, and there's 14 that require home care services. They go in on a daily basis to provide that care. One thing about home care is that if you're requiring home care services and you have someone living with you that's capable and able to do your housework, your laundry, etc., that person is expected to do that for you. So there's only certain things that the home care workers can and will do if you have someone living with you. We do have the home care nurse, however. She will go in and she will provide services to anyone if you need it. Medical transportation program. This is to assist, support, and transport people according to the guidelines and criteria of the transportation policy of Indian Health and Cote First Nation. I know we have a lot of problems, or a lot of people don't like the answers they receive from our med trans worker, but you know what, we need to understand that she is running a Health Canada program. They have rules that they have to follow. There's certain things that she has to follow, and at times the answer has to be no. So right now we're awaiting approval to purchase a handicap van. This will be used for the MedTrans program, private, but you will also still be able to use private mileage. You know, we've had so much increases in our budgets in health within the last 2 years. We've been going back and lobbying the government over and over for funds, and we know we've been really underfunded in health. We've got so many issues that we need to deal with, and I know money does not fix everything, you know, and you as people, we as people, you know, we have so many broken family relationships. We need to begin to build our families. We have a lot of broken people. We have a lot of hunger, you know, and a lot of this stems from the opportunities that they don't have. When they went to did assessments at New Beginnings, you know, the response and the things that came out of these assessments was we had people that didn't even know how to read or write. People didn't know how to fill in forms. You know, they needed to be shown how to do this. They needed to be helped, and it was just a matter of helping them. And we've got some, like I said, good people there. But within the last 3 years, our funding has really jumped. In 2015-16 fiscal year, we had $1,117,000. In 2016-17, we jumped up to 1.3, so there was an increase of $200,000 in there. In the 17-18, it's now at 1.5. We have, we're still waiting for some other funding to come in. One is, and these funds are not included in the 17-18, is we have $50,000 coming for the AEDs. That's the life support machines. So those we have to order, I think 7 of them, so that all our buildings are equipped with one. We also were given money to develop an emergency plan, and this is a one-time funding thing. You know, I think it was about 2 months ago we had a really bad windstorm, and power was out in some of the areas. But our neighbor in Key, they had no power for 3 days, And, you know, if we need to start planning, put together a plan, if this should ever happen within our community, we need to have a plan ready. We need to be ready to face whatever kind of disaster that comes our way.
That's why it's good to have wood stoves.
Huh?
That's why it's good to have wood stoves in there. When the power goes out.
Yeah, that's right. In capital, we got $25,000 from the Jordan's Principal, and that was to fix the youth center, to do renovations on the youth center. Jordan's Principal also gave money from their mental health program in the amount of $66,000 until the end of March,
Over your 15 minutes.
which is a 3-year. We've received a 3-year funding commitment from Jordan's Principal for the youth center. That amount will go up in 18-19 fiscal year, because this 66 only takes in from November to March. So that amount will go up. We've also received $50,000 from now until the end of March to bring in Mike Gunn as a therapist to New Beginnings. So that commitment was received until March 31st. I'm waiting to get confirmation from Jordan's Principal to see if that will be extended for more years, but I'm pretty sure it will be. We also got $1,800 for the home care program, and that's not included in here, and that's for palliative care costs. So we will probably be trying to find something that we could use in the palliative care program. We've also received a 3% increase on our funding on some of our programs, not all, some of them, but that amount comes to $25,000. So in total, we're still waiting for confirmation of an additional $200,000, and that should bring up the budget to 1.7. So we've been really working hard in health, and I forgot one thing. Our medical transportation program, we received a van. We received a commitment for 2 drivers and maintenance for the van to keep it running. So we're awaiting confirmation on that. We have no idea what that's going to be. But I know there was some talk and some stuff that went out on Facebook in regards to health. We are a health program. I ask you not to pull us into politics, because for us to provide healthy programs, we don't need politics in there. You know, so we don't run on a purchase order system. We never have. We don't. We've run on a check system, where if staff need to run a program, they get a check. You know, so and the receipts do have to be handed in. That's one of the policies, is they have to be handed in, and according to the audit, they've all been there. So I just, you know, in closing, or maybe there's a question there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick question in regards to how the programs are run. My understanding is my daughter is now being accused of things in regards to how the programs are being run. Is there any action in place or changes in place in regards to how staff at the health program can run their programs. And I fully understand when the staff member holds a workshop, for example, there's one check distributed to the staff member, but also what needs to be recognized here is that a lot of these staff members, they have payouts for certain areas of that program, such as for elder per diems,
Yep.
Paying the band, paying the entertainment, paying the MC. I would like to recommend that maybe you look at ways of changing how your staff do receive these checks. And we fully understand that they keep their receipts, and we fully understand that they're accountable to yourself and accountable to the band office. And what became very interesting to me here is that you made a comment in regards to keeping politics out of the health department.
Yes.
And I have to agree with that very much so. But also at the same time, when you have politicians spreading people's names, such as your staff, over social media, attempting to blacklist staff members, I have a very real problem with that. That's something that should never come to politicians. There's ways of doing things. There's also ways of being professional. When I just found this out yesterday, it really got me in regards to what's happening with my daughter. And that's the reason I'm here today. I'm here to speak up to my daughter. And I have to say, I'm very disappointed in what's happening regarding staff and regarding some of the council at the council table. You have council members blaming the staff members for taking too much to run programs. We all understand that staff members have to have the resources available, including the monies, to make the payouts as needed.
Yep.
But to have my daughter being accused of taking a whole lot of money from the band office, I have to take a stand, and I'm going to fight for it. What I think is right. And I've given my daughter some advice yesterday. And it's no offense against chief and council. We understand they have a job. I was there for 20 years. I understand how hard it is. It's not easy being a leader in any community, not only ours, but any community. But I would recommend that maybe possibility of a credit card. There's dangers in that as well too. But also at the same time, you hand a staff member a check for $10,000, $15,000, and they make payouts as needed in their program and the functions that they're running. I have a very real problem when they start getting accused of taking money and spending it illegally. That's not right. We got to be professional at this level, especially when you're an elected leader. You have to turn on your professionalism. You have to remember that you represent not only yourself, your family, but you also represent 36, 37, 3,800 band members. And when you jeopardize the liability of your band by your actions as a leader, then your leadership should be questioned. So I just wanted to bring that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess to further to say something in regards to the receipts and the monies that the staff have been spending, we do work with finance. We've had meetings with finance. People have been told if you have any receipts outstanding, you need to hand them in. There is also a form signed that if you did not hand in your receipts, it comes off your salary. So there is some kind of mechanisms in place, and right now we're doing really good in health. I'd like it to keep on. I wish we could do away with all our problems that we have, but maybe in time, but we need to work together as a community. We need to begin to work on ourselves. We need to face all the problems that we have in our communities and work together to combat them. Like, I need your help. I need everybody's help. I need you to work with your families, individual people, to help us, to stand with us. I've seen a hand.
Darlene, I'd like to come. I'd like to, commend you on your report, and, I think, when you're talking about those, procedures and, measures that you have in terms of, the payouts and workshops, I think everybody has to be aware of it on the same level, from leadership to membership. You know, and this will avoid this kind of, situation or problem. You know, it's easy to point fingers, but not knowing the facts. And like what Jimmy said, you have to be professional. You know, we're not third world here anymore. We're not, you guys are the republic, sitting up there in leaders. You know, it's a democratic process we have to use. And that's what we have to do. Everybody has to be on the same level in terms of processes and everything. And one person not knowing procedures or etiquette, you know, can really upset a lot of things. So, in terms of, council, I'd recommend that workshops or anything like that has to be done with, etiquette and, procedure. That's the first thing you gotta learn as a leader. A BCI, what's a BCI? Things like that, etiquette. Then you won't have these problems as you go through your term. You do that at the beginning of your term. Educate yourself. Your Indian Act, your Election Act, what it says in there. We're controlled by the Election Act. That's our Constitution right now. Remember that. Look at it. Read it. Study it. You made a note of confidentiality. You made a note. So follow it. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Lito?
Is that any more questions for Darlene? Get there, get a mic to.
I need to commend Lido. He's worked really hard on himself. He's trying really hard, and a lot of our people at New Beginnings are trying really hard. So, just commend them.
Hello. I just wanted to question all these portfolios that have all these board members on it. Can we get a list of whose names are all on these boards so we can understand what's going on? It's sad to see people swearing at each other and getting mad at each other. I want this bullying to end in our whole reserve. And it starts at the council. I want everybody to stop swearing at each other, start respecting each other, and stop pointing fingers at one another. There's one thing that I see, because I'm a contractor, and I've been cleaning up mold. And these people that you're talking about, that are walking around on the streets, there's jobs out there that they could do. They could clean up before some of the contractors do it, and they could clean up after. That could promote jobs right there, I see a lot of problems with mold. And I see a lot of elders slowly dying, and that's a big problem right there, and something has to be done about that. So I want to know who's all the board members, and I want to know what's going on. If there's people, some families only on one board, and then another family on another board, I don't know. Nobody knows, I'd like to see that. Thank you.
Health is over there. You'll find a list of the staff, the council members in health, and the health board attached. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone.
Thanks, Darlene. Okay, we're kind of getting late in time here, so we have a few more things to go. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have only 10 minutes, eh? Each person take 10 minutes, or we'll be here. We'll interrupt some bingo time or stuff like that. Reggie's got a meeting. Okay, so now we're going to go with New Beginnings, and Wanda is going to give you guys her report. Thanks.
I've been asked to do just a brief update on the New Beginnings program. As everybody is aware, we've been open about 14 months, and on average we have about 466 people a month that walk through our doors. We do have a lot of programs in our center. We have counseling, we have therapists, we have sexual assault counselors. There's all kinds of help there. We have doctors that come in. We have Health Canada. Health Canada comes in and does HIV testing and the liver scans. And Dr. Skinner from Saskatoon comes in and does the ongoing care for those with HIV and Hep C. What else? Darlene kind of touched on a lot of the stuff at New Beginnings, but recently we've acquired a grant for $48,000 from the Saskatchewan government, the Saskatchewan Literacy Fund, and with that money I'll be using that in the new year to enhance our programming. And some of the things that we want to bring in is a little bit of cultural programming and a little bit of work on reconciliation. I believe, we have to know our history in order to move forward. So that's one of the things that I want to try and get some of the elders from the community to come in and work with our people in that area. Recently, I got a call from Health Canada, Dr. Khan. New Beginnings Outreach Program is unique. It's the only one of its kind in Saskatchewan. We offer more services than other outreach. Most outreaches will offer clothing and food, but ours goes a little further. We offer the testing, the harm reduction, hot lunch, that kind of thing. But Health Canada is putting a submission into a provincial health forum that's going to be held in Montreal, and they're going to be using New Beginnings statistics and the programs that we offer there, and myself and Dr. Khan will be, if it is accepted, we will be co-facilitating that in Montreal in the spring. So we are getting some recognition out there, and we just need to, you know, continue to work together. Since New Beginnings opened, I wanted to talk a little bit about the methadone program. The number has decreased from 160 to 80 people on methadone. And our goal is to eventually, you know, get people right off the methadone program, because that was never meant to be a long-term program. And, you know, they tell you all the good things about methadone, but they don't tell you all the side effects, the bad things. I heard elders say, you know, in the past that we have all our own traditional medicines that we could use here. People know them, they just have to share them. And people have to be consistent in taking these traditional medicines, you know, to cure ourselves. Because all these pills that we take for diabetes, for whatever illness we have, that's more damaging than anything else. It damages our organs, our livers, our kidneys, those kinds of things. So we need to get back to that. We can never go back to the old way of life, but we could practice the values that our elders, our ancestors left us. I don't have much more to say. The only thing I want to say is New Beginnings is just a small part of the resources that are out there that exist in our community. We all have to work hand in hand, you know, to make our programs successful, to help one another. You know, the people out there on the street, these are very intelligent people. I've come to know that. It's just that they have, you know, a lot of issues of poverty, low education, but they're street smart, they're survivors. So if we work together as a community and with the support of our chief and council, we can accomplish good things together. May wait.
Anybody have any questions for Wanda? Oh, Daryl? Vernon, I mean? Wanda.
Actually, this is about New Beginnings, I guess.
Yeah, that's you.
I heard you talk about a forensic audit and problems around the reserve and the structure and the infrastructure. Infrastructure is what is needed, and I believe it's being worked on. And to carry on into the future, we have to eliminate the people. You know, like we have to have honor for one another. And address the issues of people that are still working in office, that have taken monies and are still there. I hear a lot of this in the talk. I don't hear it on the table here. Nobody wants to say anything. But there's a passion that's talked about. It stems from there to all of us, and I don't blame the chief and council. But you know, maybe it's just not in their eyes, but you know, they're for infrastructure, for our homeless, for the betterment of us all. We have to make these changes and start eliminating the people that have been there and have taken, so we feel better as a community, as one. And hopefully people will progress. Thank you.
Good question, Vernon.
Okay, that's it for Wanda? Okay, we'll move on to recreation is not here right now. They're all in hockey in Yorkton. So we'll skip that one. Then we'll go to justice and security all in one. So I'll do that one. And I'll start off by, well, you guys know who I am. And I've been doing this job since March 21st. Before I started the security job, I was working at Duck Mountain Lodge for the band when it was no longer needed. Then previously, before that, I worked at the Prince Albert Inn for like 7 years. The reason why I come back home, I come home to help or try. And forgive me, it's this hard here. I never talk in front of people, and it's different. Yeah. Okay. Well, then we'll skip that other part, and I'll just put in there what I'm up to.
Go ahead, go with that.
Okay. Right now I work with the cops. That's why I say, so if they call me a village rat, don't matter, but at least I'm saving lives and trying to help people. But right now, like, I got stats here from the cops showing since I took over, the numbers are going down quite significantly. So I think I'm doing my job right. So not too many are going to jail anymore, and we're dealing with our own problems at home without trying to call the cops every 2 minutes. But I am working with the cops right now. They're doing an investigation about our crystal meth situation on the res right now. I can't go into it right now because they have, on their radar, they got 3 houses that cook it, and they got 5 people in total that they're investigating right now. So I can't go any further into that part, but they're working on it. We just got to be patient. It's happening. And that's more or less about it. I guess the crime rate is going down, and I'm trying to help people. People are leaving parties, they're walking in the snow. I give them a ride home in the truck, that's everybody's truck. So nobody's freezing, and B&Es are down. Fightings are down, assaults. Nobody's getting beat up with bats and all that stuff anymore. But like I said, what we need is, in order for us to be more productive in that field, we have to all help one another here. Everybody. It doesn't take just me, it takes everybody. It takes the whole reserve to make the reserve safe, because I'm only one person. And I'm only going to just try and start the wheel going, and we have to help one another. When you see somebody doing something to your neighbor's property, it's not ratting on them. It's just looking out for neighborly love, I guess you call it. All we're doing is stealing off each other, and that's not right. We're all related in here, some way or form. So what I'm asking you guys is, if you see something, don't keep it inside you just because it's your relative. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. And that's where we are here today with this crystal meth thing. If we all came out, we all know who's doing what on our reserve. But for some reason, there's nobody that wants to talk with the cops and tell them what's going on. I don't know what it is. Is it because you're related to them? You don't want to see them go to jail? Or you like going to funerals? Or I don't know what it is. But we as people, as they say in the underworld, you have to grow some balls and start standing up to these people, or they're just going to kill all of us. Right? And I'm not trying to be a preacher. I'm not trying to be better than anybody. I'm equal just like everybody here. But I'm just here to try and make a difference. And that's the best I can do. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to lands. We'll call up Huru.
Well, good afternoon, people, membership. My name, like you said, is Huru. That's my nickname. I don't know, can you hear me back there? Is this good enough? It's good?
Anyways, they asked me to do the report on lands. I sit on lands. That's one of the portfolios I sit on. I actually sit on a few. But I'll actually be doing the lands portfolio and the capital portfolio. And they gave me 10 minutes, and I don't know, hopefully I can do it under that. But a lot of good words here today, and I'd like to acknowledge them, you know. The comments that were made by all people, and the positiveness that was out there. And to the people that are out and viewing this live, I mean, to you guys as well, you guys actually do matter. We're taking that into consideration. And having said that, I guess I'll get to my lands and my capital. With lands, the chief spoke earlier on initiatives that we're working on, and he mentioned a few of them, and I'll just pick off a few of them that I'd like to see go ahead, and one of them is the cattle operation. And with that cattle operation, we're working with our ACDEV officer, Gerald Marcoux, and working close with him, and we actually have him looking at a few other ventures as well to hopefully bring some jobs, prosperity, and all that good stuff to our community. So that's basically what we're working on, lands. And I don't want to go on repeating because we talked about the revenue and all that that was mentioned by our chief earlier in good comments. And with regard, we'll go to capital now. And capital, the past few days we had water break. And in our community, that's going to be pretty tough if we have a water break. And we have a water recharge system. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And our water, we have a water recharge system that we prioritize because I'd say that's one of the priorities in our community is the water, because once we lose that water, and guys, you're driving back and forth to town, you see the red light at the water tower, that's a water shortage or something up with the water system. So we have a couple good guys working on that, and they get the support from us as chief and council. I'd like to say they get the support from it. I've had no problems, no concerns, no complaints, so that's why I'm speaking like that. And in capital, we also had the purchase of new equipment. Chief mentioned earlier that we bought new equipment. We did, and that's hopefully better to service, you know, with the grader, with the loader, to be able to provide a better service to our people on reserve. And we also picked up a charter bus. They mentioned a charter bus for our recreation. And we purchased some gravel last year. And I say the table, because you remember last report I mentioned, I appealed to the table that capital needs to do this. Capital wants to do this, and I need the support of the table, and they gave us in capital. So that's why we were able to do all this, and I commend the people that we sit with so that we got that done. Now we just got to implement it, and hopefully we could put everything in place so that we can serve our people better. And that's in our capital. And when the chief came up here, he mentioned that something I forgot, which was land designation. There again, we asked for that land designation. Geez, it was first 6 months in our term, and identified that so that we can work on that as a community for our buildings, our new ventures that we're trying to pursue. So that's in place. So we're going to be going around and probably meeting with the general public or our membership in regards to these. So with that, any questions? Evelyn?
Regarding the water in that house when you turn on the tap is white, and it's now, and it leaves a grainy taste in your mouth. And this has been going on for some time, and I'm wondering, when are you guys going to do something about it? To me, that's unsafe drinking water.
Yeah, well, I guess we have a guy out of Yorkton. He's one of our engineers. We'll get him to be probably looking into that, especially if the water is that bad. I mean, we have to look into that because I believe our water quality coming out of our pump house is good. So we're going to have to probably check the whole line, because from where our pumping station is to the village, it's not far. So I mean, I'm sure there must be others affected. So we'll have to be looking into that for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of other people affected by it.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who said anything about it.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and we'll take that to heart, and we will be looking into that. Anybody else? Sadie? Yeah. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, thank you, Sadie, for those questions. And if you didn't hear her questions, one of them was regarding to emergencies, and the other one was regards to lands. I'll speak to the emergency first. Elder Reggie had brought that to our table actually a while back, and to Chief and Council, and he mentioned that to us. And we said we were going to discuss it, so I'd like to think and let you know that did hit our table from an elder, and we will be pursuing that and looking for options and recommendations so we can actually better prepare for that. And hopefully that answers your question, Sadie, the one part. And the other one was the lands, what we commonly refer to as bakshi. We discussed that before, and we had put it on a table, and it is currently under discussion, and we haven't set a date yet for the next meeting, but that is coming up, Sadie. The bakshi discussion is at the table. It is in our portfolio, and we are dealing with it. So hopefully those answered both of your questions, Sadie. Any more questions? Reggie?
Is there land settlement still coming? So are we still involved in a land settlement? Is there a process on what's happening?
Yes, Reggie, we're actually actively pursuing 4 separate claims. I don't know them off the top of my head. If somebody could bring some names here so we can inform the people. But we are actively pursuing 4 claims, additional claims. Does that answer your question, Reggie?
Yeah, and according to my understanding, campsite, and that railroad is one of them.
Yes, it is. I know for sure I believe it's CN Rail.
Yeah, a lot of times in my gypsy in town, would you know you're living on my road? When they really be so racist about, but I'm the kind of guy that just talk up and you say what I have to say, and especially to our white brethren and sisters, guys. Won't take no crap off the man. Maybe that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. And that's good, Reggie. That's called empowerment, and that's what we want is for our membership to speak up like that. The chief just bought me the papers, update on our specific claims, and you're asking the names on them. We have the 1903 CNR Railway claim, 1904 Station Grounds and Campsack Town Site Surrender claim, Cote First Nation misadministration of trust claim, and the Cote First Nation road allowance claim. Those are the four we are actively pursuing. Okay, and the chief just informed me that we'll make copies and they can be picked up at the office.
I have a question. I'm a guy here that has 16 horses. I haven't passed them. Few times they got out and I go to the reserve or hung around down the hill. They never seem to cross the road, and I've never seen any dead ones of mine, but some of the guys had horses and their horses were hit. But I told the police, look, that the horses, you know, they right for someone to just come and take your horses and sell them. I mean, the land is there, he is for the horses. Roam wherever you want out of the reserve land, it's being from the end of the reserve. So somebody on the reserve says buy it, and they can pound your horse. That's how it goes, or what happens? The horse is rolling around. I mean, if I had a horse and threw it in my fence and kept it, do I have to pay about it?
I'm sorry, Jack, I missed that last part.
If I was to catch a few horses, somebody else's horses, I went around and I threw them in my horse trailer and put them in my so-called property, reserve land. Can I sell them and claim them, or is that how that goes? Please say it's not possible.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry, I was just getting some direction here on what we had talked about, but with regard to free roaming horses, I think we're trying to, as a chief in council, we were trying to follow what was outside and more importantly, safety. But as far as you rounding them up and taking them, I'm not sure as far as legally what would happen, but I know people have done it in the past. So I guess it would be up to each individual to pursue that as to how they saw fit.
But the loss of the horses, or what became of them? Is this anyone grab them and sell them?
Well, if they're free roaming, you'd have to look at that from a legal standpoint, as what is free roaming?
The reserve?
Yeah.
Free roaming?
Yeah, because we don't have nothing in place on reserve as far as bylaws or laws. And I do know, and you hate to say this, but it is out there, and province will use it in absence of laws. In absence of our laws, their laws will apply.
See a little mile and a half off the main highway. This guy's coming up there, quads and stuff, chasing my horse all over the place. There's my horse in the 15. But anyway, I'm glad it's over until I just wanted to give it up. Good enough for me.
Okay, good. Thanks, Jack. Oh, we have another in the back, along the wall.
Good afternoon, again. I got a question. We have 800,602, 928 invested in the claims right now. And how long with the 4 claims, what's the projected time and what's the projected cost it is going to cost the bank to engage in these claims? If you did have time to talk to Ron Maurice, did he give you guys a time frame as to when it's going to be hitting the courts or hitting whatever it has to hit now? Because we do have money tied up in there. We have quite a fair amount there, and I'm just kind of thinking how much it's going to have to cost us to finish it off, or no?
Do we have a time frame?
Yeah.
Generally, I think we do kind of have a time frame, because I know Cote right now is in a unique position right now where we can roll all 4 of them into one and negotiate them as one, rather than doing them all individually and taking a longer process. And that, I believe right now, and other council can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's, I believe, before the tribunal, and to see if they'll accept us as to negotiate on all 4 as one. And as far as the time frame, they haven't given us a time frame because that's sitting in front of their office, I believe in Ottawa, to see whether or not they'll accept all 4 claims as one, so that we can deal with all 4 claims as one and get a settlement on that, rather than waiting for 4 individual claims all with different time frames.
So all this dollars that was spent, 862,000 or almost 863,000, includes all the 4 claims? Because it says here 1903, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, that one I can't answer. I can't answer that one. However, I do know that they are actively trying to put all 4 in one, and I know they're waiting for the final submission. You know, any more questions? Any more bingos out there? Oh, Evelyn.
If we go into a forensic audit, what will happen to our community? Will we continue to have like staff working in a band office and our land things that we put on hold to and until the forensic audit is done? Can somebody explain what that procedure is?
Yeah, just getting words here from the chief and the councils here. Everything continues. Services will continue. Our services are not going to be stopped.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry, Evelyn. Your husband will be able to hunt. You know he's a good hunter. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Hudo. Okay, now we're gonna go into economic development. We'll get Gerald Marco. Then after Gerald, we'll go into the Cote market. Shelley.
Come and see me.
Georgina Cote, $100. Lucy Robbie.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Just 1 second.
The door prizes are sponsored by Maurice Law. So if you guys are out there, Maurice Law, thank you.
I think I should adjust the mic here for myself. Which for the prayer? The drum group? Where are you guys? Which? My name is Gerald Marcoux Shingus. I'm part of the Stanley Shingus clan. This is my 2nd time coming back to help the reserve. It's a good challenge. I love it. Cote First Nation funded my university education, so I'm bringing back what this institution of education taught me: critical thinking, liberal thought, business development, the power of money, evilness of money, philosophy, geography, Aboriginal law, treaty history. Does anybody know what the R versus Baker Lake Supreme Court case is? Basically, it says that oral history, we tell stories, that's valid history. It doesn't have to be documented. Our stories are valid. So all the stories we have is valid for a land claim. Don't be saying you gotta have it on paper. Oral history is valid history for a land claim. My position is funded by YTC Economic Development. So it's for 1 year. The reserve gets $144,000. My salary comes out of it. I had to buy a printer, paid for attending AFN, the Agribition conferences. And what I'm in process right now is getting the Cote market back on track for a positive business. It's been in debt for a number of years. Financial controls, serious seriously financial controls, and council is supporting me on getting this done. There's new check signers. The director of operations was a non-payment to Cote Market. We can't operate a business like that. And what I'm protecting is our inherent treaty right for tax exemption on our own reserve. Why can't we have our own tax exemption on our own reserve? Why do we have to go to Yorkton to go have tax exemption from gas, tobacco, and all that stuff? I want to protect that. I started that from day one of my first term here, turning the bingo hall into a grocery store. Trial and tribulations, I'm going to tell you right now, but today it's still standing. I want to thank Shelley Cote for management. She run a tight ship. That's why today it's standing, and why the Duck Mountain Lodge and Omea Lodge are not standing today. You have to run a tight ship, and Shelley's done that. Potash is in Treaty 4 territory. Mosaic has come to the office and did their duty to consult, and they want to support our community. But some of the things they put up is employment barriers. You know, we have to have a grade 12, need your driver's license, got to pass a drug test. And then when I asked them, what about accommodations? Like our guys that work there have to drive down, finish their shift, and then come back, get up the next day and drive there back to Esterhazy or Rocanville. They had no answer for that because they're still catering to the white privileged farmers that have been working in potash industry for years. So the only potash company that has accommodation now is BHP. They will supply housing, but they're not reaching out yet because they're not in development. They're still in development and not in production. Earlier this year we had an auction. That was a pretty good success. There's some band members driving around with some good vehicles. Just need to do some repairs on them. One of the things that got brought up when people come and approach me is about the fuel at the Cote Market. I want to explain Penner Oil, what it really is, the supplier. They buy fuel from the major oil companies, Petro-Canada, Co-op, Husky, at a rack price. I mean, like they buy millions of liters of fuel at a discounted rate, and that's from Petro-Canada. And Co-op, Husky, maybe even Shell. So the fuel you guys are getting at the Cote Market is not tainted with water. It's not farmer's fuel. It's the same fuel you get at Petro-Canada in town. And one of the things they even pointed out to me that I did not know was that when you go to fuel tanks that have the 3 octane levels, regular, mid-grade, and premium, when the trucks come to fill up the 2 tanks on the business that have those octane levels, regular and premium, when you press mid-grade, they just blend that mid-grade together, and there you have your mid-grade gas. So little inside jokes or inside information like that is helpful, and Penner Oil has told me all this stuff. What's that? It's all the same gas, yeah. It's they look after the pumps. They bring it. They wouldn't sell it if it was contaminated, and it's not. We are actually in very good standings, Cote Market. Once again, thank you, Shelley, for making that solid relationship, because they're the one that had that customer appreciation barbecue we had during the summer. That was all free food supplied by Penner Oil, Pratt's, Coca-Cola, and Pepsi. They love Cote Market. They like it. Penner Oil doesn't want to kill the culture that's with the business. As you look at Tim Hortons and Petro-Canada, a little Black Bear in Fort Capel, the culture's gone. You have to follow their rules, Petro-Canada rules, Tim Hortons rules. You have to smoke off their leased land on Treaty 4 land. If you want to have a cigarette boat, you have to walk off Petro-Canada property, even though they're leasing it from Little Black Bear. Contradicts everything. Ministry of Highways. I've contacted them about this intersection over here at Cote Market. It's dangerous. Traffic's busy there. I've asked them to come out and do a traffic assessment. And they've emailed me back saying that passing lanes should be constructed on highway number 8. But since it's still labeled a secondary highway, they want more other projects on there. So they need 2 more other construction projects between Kamsack and Pelly, or maybe, does it go down to Ruxton, Highway 8? Yeah, Ruxton, even Esterhazy, I think. But they want to get more projects to make it a sustainable construction project for Cody's. So that's something in the spring that's possible, to have passing lanes at Cody Market intersection, and also about an extra street light. I've looked into highway road signs. Our next door neighbors, Keescoos, have those signs up on their roads. And Cody needs that for emergency planning, good community image. It's not free, it costs almost $350 for a set of signs installed by the Minister of Highways. Eventually I want to get some community input on naming the roads from the highway. I've asked Reggie actually some ideas on that, but I want to get more of a community input on naming the roads. Up east, Hillside, see, that has double meaning. Okay, the market is in a electrical upgrade mode. First stage, we installed an electrical panel because we have all the cooking equipment that we got out of the Pickerel Point, the pizza oven, pizza warmer, French fryers. So basically you have to get a new electrical panel on that side of the store to operate all this equipment. I've had the SAS Power inspector come and take a look, and he said you have more than enough power to the store, you just need another electrical panel. So that right now, if you look in the store, it's at its first stage. The second stage is to get it installed with equipment, and then the third stage, well, who here is anybody a pizza chef or you want to cook pizza, Bannock pizza? Because they'll be creating jobs. I think about 4 or 5 jobs. If we get that side going for hot grease, hot food, instead of going to town, we can get it in Quiddy Market, all that greasy food we like. I'm sorry, Health Clank, I know we don't like to hear that. The active program, as you saw in the audit, is $1.2 million in deficit. That's before I even got here. I was hired in May, and the audit is March 2017. So it's not looking good. Sorry to say, those that are trying to get small business loans or anything like that, it can't happen. It's too in debt, too much. And I'm working with very little amount. With the help of Indigenous Service Canada now, it's called CORP funding, Community Opportunity Readiness Program, 20% contribution from the First Nation and 80% from Ottawa. So that's how funding is going to get for ECDEV for now. The business has been, it was needed neglecting repairs. So I took the initiative and fixed those doors. I did a night shift actually on the weekend to help monitor the store and help the contractor. So that's why there's 2 new doors at Cody Market. Politics and business. Successful First Nations. Sakamay, Whitecap. L'Orange is a pioneer since 1981. L'Orange has been operating on politics and business separate. They have up to 20 entities, partnerships. It's because business and politics is separate. It's a successful model, and the Onakiwik is way behind, and that's why we have these political problems. Today is a demonstration, so that's why I've talked with council that we have to move towards a non-political movement on business. So corporation, a limited partnership has to be developed, and partnerships have 5-year plans, kind of a standard model, business model. When the election term is 3 years here? Is that what it is? So that's kind of, an investor looks at that. When you have a 5-year plan, but yet a political is only a 3-year term, it's kind of, well, I don't know if I want to invest in someone that's only there for 3 years, and we got a new politics in. To prevent that, you have to get a corporation. Also, liability issues. We need to have a corporation to protect Cody First Nation from all their business ventures. if something happens, a lawsuit, injury, bankruptcy, it doesn't, the corporate shield of this corporation protects Cote First Nation from any of it accessing assets, selling, buildings, selling vehicles to cover bankruptcy claims. If we have a corporation that protects all of that, Cote First Nation and membership is not liable, just the corporation. We're approved for a feasibility study for a commercial center to include a tire and oil change business, fire hall, and commercial lease spaces. That's funded by Indigenous Services Canada. The consultant's already known. He's got years of experience. He has worked for other First Nations. He's actually worked for Sakame's business development. And hopefully that will be completed before March 31st. In addition, I've had meetings with Campbell Law Firm, consulting and developing articles of incorporation, corporate registry in terms of reference. Basically, the corporate structure of getting business on the reserve with no politicians involved. And like before what Hudu said, I've been teaming up with Lands Department on the land designation voting process. This is basically like zoning. What's commercial zone, what's residential zone, what's agricultural zone, what's institutional, educational, what's recreational, what's cultural. All these have to be, land has to be designated on all these 8 different designations in order to get regulatory gaps and solid lands that's designated as where this is going to be and where that's going to be. That's something that me and Lands Department are working with. Lastly, the town of Kamsack, our wonderful neighbors, reached out to us actually. They want to make some changes, sincere changes. There's a new mayor, and I've had a couple meetings with them. They've asked what can we do a partnership on something that would benefit everyone in this region. And I've said, what about a food bank? People are hungry. They said that senior citizens in their town, their white Doukhobor senior citizens are stealing from their co-op stores, Prairie Family. They don't like seeing that either. So it's still in talking right now, meetings, but food bank is something I think would benefit all of us. And there's an organization called CEDA, Community Economic Development Initiative, supports First Nations and municipal government partnerships. Into the new year, I hope I can reach out to that organization and get some funding for a food bank. The former board of directors for Cote Market were politicians. They have from the former government, and they've all been removed. And so far, the only one director on there is me. I'm volunteering my time to lead direction and put up protections around Cote Market. It's in debt. I want to save it for this community. I want to save so we can exercise our treaty right of tax exemption. There's only maybe, 2 grocery stores in Saskatchewan, I think. I think it's us and LaRange, right? That's it. There's only one down here in the south that a grocery store this big. And LaRange is the other one in the north. And with our suppliers having support and that we're in good standing, I think we should continue on. What has been the pattern is that the purchase orders from Director of Operations has been, it's been problems. Those purchase orders that everyone gets, they're not being paid. And so as of a while ago, last week, the only purchase orders will be for essential services, the sewer truck, snow removal, things like that. I'm sorry, but the purchase orders from band membership, it's just not working. People are selling food, people are selling gas, and that's because of this epidemic, sorry to say. And I'm trying to save a business. So I'm asking membership to tell family members that we need to put some financial controls on Cote Market. And I want this to be here. I started it from day one. I come back here the second time, it's still here, and like I said, I want to thank Shelley for that. And I want to continue on with Cote Market being here. I think it benefits people on income assistance to have their cash checking privileges at Cote Market instead of going to town to deal with TD Bank and their harassing racist attitudes. It's great to see on Income Assistance Day membership coming to the store and happy, buying product, eating, awisan in. So let's continue on with supporting the Cote Market. And I just ask membership to think long term. You're all involved in protecting our inherent right of tax exemption. And to exercise that right on Cote First Nation, we have it just down the road right here. Why can't we protect it? And that's why I'm asking membership. Thanks. Magwitch. Any questions?
Albert?
Yeah, I've gotten different reports about this. Are council members, old council members, in ownership of the store?
No, they were moved. I have the documentation to prove that. I can show you.
Okay, were they getting funds from the store?
They're getting what?
Were they getting money from the store?
That I don't know. That would be part of the audit, but if they were getting per diem on the board, because that was before I got here.
Okay.
I've only been here since May. Good question. Tweety has a question.
You're talking about getting like a cooking and fast food store in there.
Yes.
I know boys that are around here that have their chef papers. You know, they could work in fast food, and maybe you could put a sign up at the market or at the band office for these young men to sign up. I'm sure they'd be looking for jobs. You know, to support their families. They have their chef papers. They've been like working in different places, the casino in Dakota and in the city in Saskatoon. And there is boys around here that have them. I'm sure they work good with fast food, and they might be able to help start up a whole kitchen and the foods to order, because they would know what to fry and how much to fry or whatever for the oils.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is the purchase orders. I use purchase orders once in a while to feed my boys, you know, because we don't have an income. I just get my $152 every 2 weeks, and that's what we're living on. So I'm supporting these boys, and I do use a purchase orders for food once in a while. So some of us do need that, and not everybody sells their POs. Eh?
True.
Okay,
That's true.
gotta be considered. Okay, thank you.
Cote Market staff will have those great questions.
Okay, just so you got one more question for Dev, or?
Yeah, I got a question. Actually, it's more of a suggestion. A lot of the workshops that the Cote band puts on, a lot of the money comes from whichever portfolio, whether it be health or justice, and a lot of the times that there's money for food to feed the people that are attending the workshop. So one of my suggestions is that any money that is given to feed, like a supper or lunch, you know, I think that money should go to the market, because we're supporting our own business. We're keeping that money in the community. And that money helps to pay the wages of the staff. It helps to pay the bills, electric bill, whatever, you know. it helps to pay for the cigarettes, it helps to pay for the gas, and it helps to pay for the product, right? So that's one of my suggestions. I've seen a lot of things since I moved home 8-9 years ago, and you know, that's one of the things I've seen since the market's been open, is that a lot of times people get hired to cook for a workshop or something, and they take their money to Yorkton, right? And so they're spending their money in Yorkton, and they're getting their groceries over there, and I think that we as a community, we need to support our Cote market, because we rely on that market for a lot of things, whether it be POs, whether it be gas for the heavy equipment, or you know, cashing SA checks for the people, you know, basically cashing any kind of check that comes out of the office, right? So I just want to commend my wife. I'm the only guy in this room that gets to say he used to go home and sleep with his wife, or his boss. His boss is his wife. Just kidding. No, I just want to commend Amanda and Shelley for a good job. I see a lot of times the stress that they go through trying to keep that ship afloat, you know, and just trying to do right by the people. And they really do care about the community and the people. And I think they did a good job, and I honestly believe that they deserve a round of applause. So can we give them a round of applause, please? And that's all I gotta say. Hello, bless.
All right, okay, we're gonna get into the market, so should be about 10 minutes, so, or we'll be here till 8 tonight, so let's try and move on, eh? Okay, market.
My name is Shelley Cote. I come from Cote Reserve. Really close? Okay. My name is Shelley Cote. I come from Cote Reserve. My grandfather was Cecil. My grandmother was Alice. A lot of people don't know who I am. So we moved to the reserve 9 years ago. I moved from the city. I've been, since the market opened 7 years ago, I've been there since day one. I started as supervisor, went to assistant manager, and then to a manager. I'm not very good at speaking in the crowd, but I try my best to the operation of the business. I can't say I do it alone. I got a team behind me that I'm very proud of. I got assistant manager. I got workers. Amanda, you want to say anything?
Hi, most of you guys do know me. My name is Amanda Cote. Surrender to your question about resumes being posted or jobs being posted. We do have a stack of resumes that we do go through. And yes, they are high, because as you know, our community, there's always somebody looking for a job. And yes, we're usually the first people they drop it off at. And we go by dates that we receive them. If this person isn't here, we go to the next and to the next. It's not that we pick and choose who we want and who we don't want. And then, yes, when it comes to BMAs, like the purchase order, like you said, it only takes one to ruin it for everybody else. And I'm sorry they didn't consider you in that. And I do know that from dealing with you myself. We have 18 employees. 8 of them are full-time, and the rest are part-time and casual. And our door is revolving. We're always willing to bring back the old employee and rebuild it, like until they find something else, like school, you know. I don't know what else you guys would like to know about the market. We have bakery, we have a meat department, we have gas, we have cigarettes. We're pretty straightforward job. Is there anything that you guys would like to know? Questions? Yeah.
I'm getting older now, my eyes are getting dim, man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I
I can't see the price on the product when I'm in there.
Yeah.
So I get kind of turned off when I go to Prairie Family or someplace. If I just suggest maybe put prices on bigger letters, so some of us will pass right and see, you know. So,
Okay.
just a suggestion, thank you.
I'm
You
all-
guys are doing a good job, I appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know. Are you guys good?
Are we good? McWitch.
Thank you, Shelley, Amanda. Okay, now we're going into our finance and administration. Okay, settle down there, big fella.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to present a report for finance and administration on Vivian's behalf. Just to let you know that at the start of the new elected term of President, Chief and Council, okay, Myers, Norris and Penny, the audit firm, was contracted to conduct an overall review, which included a financial review. During the process, they met with Chief and Council and different staff from each individual program within the band. All budgets and financial records, policy documents were provided, as well as funding agreements to assist with the process. From this process, a management action plan was developed with recommendations from Myers, Norris and Penny. Cote First Nation did have a 5-year existing plan, however, it needed to be updated. Some of the work that was identified in the previous plan was completed, but there were some items that remained outstanding. The existing Chief and Council continued those areas from the previous action plan and also approved a new plan for and up to 2022. Some of the areas identified were updating the financial bylaws, which include reviewing the existing financial policies and internal controls. Work has been done in this area for more financial policy development and continues, and we anticipate will be completed by March 31st. All program managers are responsible for their own program areas. The current process that exists is that managers manage in accordance to their funding agreements with INAC and Health Canada. And as an internal control process, program staff submit their check requisitions to the program manager for signing. And as the director of operations, when a check requisition is submitted by the manager, her role is to provide additional approval to ensure that all the backup documents are attached and that the program area has the funding available. The process is also in place for individuals who receive any funds to purchase supplies, door prizes, food, and other items that are needed to run their programs, workshops, activities. Health is one of the areas that has a mandatory requirement to do this as an internal control mechanism. So when a staff member or contractor receives a check to make purchases on behalf of the band, they are required to sign a form letter which they agree to provide receipts, and health requires a report along with it. They also agree that any unspent funds are returned, and if receipts are missing or not handed in, they're responsible for the funds, and they also agree to have those funds directly taken off their paychecks. And further requests will be denied until the outstanding paperwork or funds are turned in. This ensures that everyone is accountable for the funds that they receive that are used for the program activities. This also applies to the band operations. The management action plan addressed other as well, such as band membership assistance policy related to deaths and critical illnesses, addressing non-essential expenditures, applying a debt reduction strategy, communicating financial information across different levels of the band for review. The work in this area has been addressed and continues. General band assemblies are held to share audits with membership and provide financial updates. Communication was also addressed, and work continues to be done in this area to provide communication to our membership as well as internally. Economic development, Gerald was hired. Housing, there needs to be an update in the policies, tenant agreements, and tracking rents paid by band members. Governments and financial training for counselors was also recommended on reading financial statements. Staff development for managers on budgeting processes and financial coding is scheduled. And these are just some of the recommendations made and approved by Chief and Council and being worked on. And progress is ongoing. A receipt audit review was completed for INAC, which included the 2014-15 and the 2015-16 fiscal years. A final report was received, and Chief and Council will be required to review the final audit. Overall, the report indicated that the Cote First Nation has complied with the financial terms and conditions of the agreements, and funds have been spent in accordance with the terms and conditions of those agreements, with the exceptions of a limited number of expenditures due to improper documentation and approvals. A review in the area of human resources is being planned, and work is going to be scheduled to start at the end of this fiscal year. The bank continues to work on the outstanding accounts payable, and as you've seen in the audit, it was sitting at $2.5 million at March 31st. To date, it's been paid down to $1.3 million. And to date, the band has paid down some of the outstanding balances due to the Cote market, approximately $160,000. And that's it. That's our report from finance.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's directed to Dawn, but 8 years ago I lost my job on NAIRAP here, and I have no issue with it, but my only concern is that I went to the Human Rights and the Labor Board, and I took the band to court just because I felt that it was unjust, and I won, but unfortunately my lawyer, she didn't stay with me. She moved on to another lawyer firm, and she kind of left me, hanging with that, and I had no place to go. I wasn't sure how I could collect this, but Chief and Council, the past Chief and Council would not acknowledge, that I had this outstanding claim to the band, and then I was also told that you were paid up. Well, I'm here to tell you that I wasn't paid out. I wasn't paid a cent. I had to pay the lawyer's fee, and I had to pay Revenue Canada. And that's not easy on the outside, because on the outside you work and you get paid for only what you work. You can't just order checks on, a month or whatever. I can't do that. I work and so I'm limited. So my question is, my unjust dismissal is sitting with the federal court. I have a choice that I can get a lawyer, and I have to provide 2 other documents, and it will be collected for me from the bank, and but I don't want to take that. I don't want to take that road. I'm asking the Chief and Council, here, I'm a band member too, and I have to get the reserve, but I want to be paid. I want to be paid out just like everybody else that gets paid from here. Why should a lawyer, he brought in again, and they're paying him, you know, when I provided those documents here to the band office and to the chief and council, it's not fair for me. And, you know, I'm asking, you know, the chief and council now here to, give me a chance and to pay me out. That's all I have to say.
I would recommend, Rhonda, that you bring in your documentation to us, because who was the director at the time? Yeah, I would recommend you just bring in your documentation to us so that, you know, we can have a look at it. Any other?
Yeah, Rhonda, we did discuss it, and there was a settlement that was approved. I think it might be with the lawyer, but there might be some statute of limitations that has to go through first, but he will contact you. Okay? Which lawyer is that? Which lawyer is that?
Is that Tom Campbell?
Tom Campbell. Phone him. Yeah. Well, he's the one who has it right now, and we could probably check on it. Yeah. Okay, we'll check on it. Yeah.
Rhonda, did you go to the labor board?
Yes, I went to what they did. I went to the labor board and they appointed me an adjudicator. I went before the adjudicator gave me a settlement. And I just didn't know how to correct it because my lawyer, like I said, she left it with the law firm and it was supposed to be handled by the back end of the chief and council, but they wouldn't, I think it was brought before them and they just refused.
Okay. We'll bring in your documentation and.
I will. Okay, thank you.
Is there any more questions for Don? Okay.
Hello there. I guess I got a few questions. You said you're paying your debt out for $2.2 million to general suppliers. And that's how much you owe the suppliers according to the audit. And did you get time to read the recommendations of the auditor? We do need training in our pay clerk needs training bad because, like they said, there's duplicate vendors. Who's going to clean that up? Who's going to clean up all these vendors that are duplicates? And there's a few things I was going to ask. When we pay our bi-weekly salaries and all the bills we owe, what is the total budget every 2 weeks that we have to come up with? And if we're at the rate we're going, are we going to have enough to last the end of the year for all the expenditures that we are going to encounter? And with I didn't notice in the audit that they included interest on all the money we move out. And there was a recommendation made here by economic development guy not to take purchase orders to the bag store anymore. It's just as easy to make a check rather than send a PO over there. You know, you have how many financial clerks that are there entering data. I see them sitting around and I say, oh, they should be doing something sometimes. When I walk in the office, I see them sitting around or standing outside smoking, you know. And that's something that has to be corrected. I'm pretty sure the DO should be there to look after our bad staff, and that's what I was going to ask. When we have bad staff, is there somebody there to monitor when they come in, what they're doing? Like, is there a plan in place for our band to run efficiently? And is there job descriptions? You know, like I see high wages for people that are you know, I don't know how much money comes in for these positions, and how many positions are we supposed to actually have? But the biggest part, the biggest thing I see here is training for our people. And making them so that they're properly trained and practically efficient in their job, that they help the people, because there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, I tried to talk to somebody at the office and nobody wanted to talk to me. And we have so many, I counted, I did a survey on the reserve, there's about 80 employees we had, and that's not including the van store, nor the house. I know we have I counted the house staff. So we do have a lot of employees, but we also have a lot of band members that are in need. And I don't know who would be in charge of correcting the system, because the system we do have is all flawed, according to the auditor himself. He said there's duplicate vendors, and, like, maybe you can spell my name different, so I'll get a few more checks or something.
No.
Just kidding.
I'll work from the bottom up there, just to let you know, like, let membership know that we did a professional and institutional development plan for HR, which includes, bringing in a professional to develop job descriptions, to get rid of like redundant positions, and to just to keep track of the staff. It has to be done. It's part of the management action plan that we get control of that. Purchase orders. We were told last week, I guess, or the week before, that there'll be no more POs, random POs for groceries or stuff like that, and just essential services will be dealt with, like for snow removal, sewers, stuff like that. Payroll runs us roughly about $110,000 on the 1st and the 15th, and that includes the house, education staff, band staff, council on that. And in terms of accounts payable, yes, I know it's messed up. There's a lot of duplicates. We did send the staff on training for the 3rd time, and we did make plans to have them attending budgeting and financial statements, so that they know how to do their job better. And it's not only the AP staff, it's also the program managers and any support staff that need to know how to do that, because the new process is in December, program managers have to come into the office and they have to sit down in finance and start doing their budgets, and start learning their own codes, so that there's no more errors for the AP clerks to make. So, we're trying to clean that up. It's in progress. It's taken time, but the girls are getting there. They're doing a good job.
Reconciling.
Yep.
Reconciling,
Vivian.
I'm sure you won't wait till the end of the year to do all your reconciliation.
No.
And that's a lot of checks.
No, it's done monthly. Vivian tries her best to sign off each month, but there's the general ledger is so huge, especially in November, we have we have all the Christmas checks, which ran us 4,000 entries, so we gotta reconcile each, make sure that all the void checks are done and any stale dated stuff, and it takes time to do that. It can't be done overnight, but we are doing that. It's
kind of a long time we've been sitting on this.
Yeah.
It was something I brought up when I first got here in when I got in 98, I said we have to have job descriptions. Because people can't get raises till they leave. Keep on getting raises every year. There's got to be a limit as to how much money we can get per position. And providing financial statements. Will you provide your financial statements to program managers?
Well, program managers come in and we sit down and make sure that their balances are right, that maybe we have to move expenditures here, they're not coded right and stuff, and then monthly chief and council will have their reports and quarterly, and we just finished a semi-annual review. And I was advised that, like, once the website's up, we can upload all this stuff, so for membership.
Yeah.
And there's also gonna be copies put at the front desk for anyone if they want to come and get them. Yeah.
You're talking about the general ledger, general ledger descriptions, changed to completely different descriptions.
I think that was the Cote Van store.
Leading to misleading financial statements. That's something that's, the auditor pointed out, that the chief and council should, read the auditor's letter to, we got it on.
Oh, okay, yeah, there was, someone had changed an account code, that had to do with the Cote Band, the old Cote Band store.
Yeah.
And like, there's duplicates there, so,
Change the Cote reimbursement.
yeah, somebody changed that and,
Yeah.
but it's been fixed.
Who is in charge of, well, I guess you would say, being, like my nephew there, police officer, police guard guy. Who watches the financial stuff? Who's the one that's going to pick up all this stuff that's going wrong? Is it the DO or is it you or who is it?
Well, both of us are a team, like, we have to work together, but this happened, like, in my absence. I wasn't with the band from November till May, and during that time, that account code changed.
There's a lot of things that are in this auditor's note that should be made note of, and I think that's the way we can correct a lot of the problems that are happening. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else? Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Don. Okay, now we have one more left here. Well, we had more, but the housing is, Sandra's not here today. She's sick or something's wrong with Sandra. And post-secondary is not here today either. So we're going to go down to education. Jonas. And then after Jonas, the chief will do his closing remarks because social assistance is not here. Okay. Oh, she's here now. Okay, yeah, we'll throw her in after Jonas.
Good afternoon. My name is Jonas Cote, and I'm the principal here at the school. I've been in the education field for about 24 years now, and 7 years in administration. And I've seen a lot of changes over the years in education in regards to the students in high school and that. It has to be in there. You can't hear me? You can hear me? That's good. Okay, go for the live. All right. Can you hear me now? Tony, right? All right, right now our student population is about 175 to 180. We have a pre-K to grade 12. And this year we're gonna have about maybe 8 graduates. The programs that we offer at the school, the LLI, Level Literacy Intervention, is an assessment reading program that we have with the students here. And we're also starting a new math program. The main focus at the school that we're doing right now with the staff of 12 teachers and 8 EAs, and we have 2 janitors and a maintenance man. And we're trying to get away from the provincial curriculum. A lot of T4 schools are trying to develop or indigenize the curriculum in the First Nation schools, so that we know from history that we're a type of learners that we want kids to show. What kids ask, show me, instead of teaching me, show me how it's done. Okay, we're sort of like hands-on learners. So in our math program, what we're doing is getting away from the paperwork. You know, we're getting away from the traditional classroom where kids are in rows and they sit in your desk all day doing paperwork. Okay? We're finding that in a lot of First Nation schools that this type of learning is not really helping. And so we're developing where classrooms, if you come into the school, none of the classrooms are in rows. We're trying to get away from the paperwork, so the kids are doing more hands-on, using more manipulatives in their work, and working in that area. And a lot of the teachers, I'm trying to stress to a lot of teachers to do a lot of interactive teaching. That means getting the kids out of the desks and moving around, working in groups, and doing such exercises in math and that where they move around, they're not sitting all day. Our main focus this year is on language and culture. The last few years we were really pushing our language at the school here. We've had some help from YTC and Treaty 4 in regards to language and culture with funding. And we have resource people like Ronnie Severide, Corrine Brass, our Nuckaway teacher, Brian Kakekwe, and a lot of our Nuckaway resources are being developed for our kids. We've started this year that the staff have to take Nuckaway classes after school and learn the basic commands of good morning, walk, things like that. And we're stressing culture. We're doing smudges. We've had our resident elders, Sadie Cote, Francis Bird, and other elders that come in like Reggie, teaching about snaring rabbits and smudging at the school. And we will respect the different dominations that we have on the reserve here in regards to the smudging and cultural aspect. But we have to let our kids know who they are. They have to know who they are, their identity. And then we're going to really stress on treaties, because a lot of our students, even us, do we really know what our treaties are? How many of you know that our treaties are really being affected from our big leaders, FSIN, AFN? You know, there's a lot of things that are being changed. And we want our students here to be able to get into the world there and fight for those treaty rights. So that's what we're really stressing at the school here. And also engagement. We're sending the letters out there. We want as much elders coming to this school as much as possible. We want as much parents to come into the school as much as possible. We want as much leadership to come into the school as possible to see what we're doing here, to see what the kids are learning. Give us your ideas, give us your resources, give us your stories, the history of our reserve. We should develop our own curriculum of the history of our reserve. So the young ones on this end, when they start coming up, they know. And another thing we really stress at the school here is respect. We want our students to show respect to themselves, to the school, to the teachers, and to their parents. We also have the breakfast and hot lunch program, thanks to the Cote market for the supplies and that. So the kids are well looked after in that area. We also have the student to work program for grades 10, 11, and 12. We have 2 students that work at the market, the band hall, and at the school here. And this year, if you didn't know, our high school is only on a 4-day week. The reason why we did this is to try and improve the attendance, and it has improved the attendance in the high school area. We have the travel club we started this year, thanks to Councillor Keitha Cote, came to the school and brought it up that we could start raising money. So the students will be cooking for the community dinner on Tuesday. Like I said, we have an open door policy. You know, if you have ideas or suggestions for the school, come and talk to me. Okay? Because we're always open, we always want more ideas. And this year we have a full phys ed program at the school here. I think we're one of the only schools in this area that has a full phys ed program. And what we're also doing this year is we're going to make a billboard, actually 2 billboards, that we're going to put on each side of the school property. And on these billboards, because the students at the school talk about what's happening within our community, the pills, the dealers, the drugs, the alcohol, the dysfunction in some of the families. They see that and they talk about it. And we had a contest at the school for kids to create a billboard for that we're going to face on the school here. And we picked 2 students that created the billboards that have the same message that that the students want to send out. Okay? It's a big issue. Everybody's talking about the problems that we have on the reserve here. And these young ones that are coming up, they have to know and be able to speak out and talk about it. So with that, I would like to also thank the Chief and Council for the support, the funding for our programs, the events that we have, like our Halloween, our Christmas, and all those other things that they put forward to the school. If there's any questions, feel free to ask.
I just want to come and say what has to be said, and what nobody has to like it, nobody has to listen. But I want to try and get my grandson back in school here. He deserves an education. And today I've heard about all these girls being strong on education, graduates coming out of Chief Gabriel School. We should be proud. And learning about pseudo culture. Well, my grandson's missing all his pseudo classes here. He's missing out on his education because he's home suspended. And what good is home suspension when he's not learning anything that he should be learning in the classroom? He's 14 years old, he's big for his age, the teacher is terrified of him, and there's nothing that can be done. I've asked Jonas to put him into a different classroom, put him in a grade 10 class, put him in a computer lab where he can do his grade 9 work. His attendance has got to be up. He's missing his marks for his other classes. The only reason why I'm speaking is I want him back in school, and this is the last chance that I have in order to support him and try and get him back into school. He shouldn't have to go to a white school. He shouldn't have to go to Keys Coast. He's a Cote band member. He lives on Cote Reserve. This Cote school was built for Cote students, and I don't need to say it, but my dad's name and my grandfather's name is outside on that memorial, and they went towards keep us free so our children and great-grandchildren and our grandchildren could get an education. And it's not happening at Cote school. Cote is big on education. Well, just educate my grandson is what I'm asking, even if they have to put him into grade 10, as long as he gets to school. He wants to come to school. Yesterday, we came to apologize to Jonas and Janice, and Jonas didn't acknowledge him at all, didn't accept any apology, nothing. How do you think that makes him feel? That's why kids kill themselves when they're rejected from school, rejected from teachers. They're too bad, too ugly to come. You know, that's hurting on him. It's bothering him. I don't know what else to do. I don't want him committing suicide. He doesn't want to go to any other school. I don't want him going to any other school because this Cote school was built for Cote students. And he should be in school here. And I'm talking to Chief and Council also for the school board, but what the school board, I understand, is all under Jonas. Whatever Jonas says, it's his word. He overrules the school board, so there's nowhere I can turn. I don't want to lose him to the system. You talk about losing kids to ICFS.
Well, that's going to be happening if his attendance is not up. And I don't want to be losing my child. I'm fighting for custody for them, and I want to keep them, and he wants to be in school. He needs to be in school. I've come to say what I have to say and what I want to say. And that's not everything, but I'll give it a rest. Thanks, Chief and Council.
Yes, I understand Surenda's situation here, but it is being dealt with the board. And no, I don't control the board. I follow what the board directs me to do in any situation in that. If you knew the true story of what is happening with this child, you would understand. But I want to tell you a story. Last year, I don't know if many of you knew, a student came to the school. He was depressed and that. We were getting him counseling and through Rob Kirk and that. But apparently that didn't help. His mom didn't want him to receive help, and he came to school one day. And he was telling one of the teachers he was going to go on the school roof and jump off the school roof. So I went outside to confront him. And I guess out of his grief and stuff like that, he had a long knife on him. And he pulled that knife on me. And I kind of stepped back. And then he chased me with that knife, and I ran for my life. But luckily he stopped. And that's when the school had a lockdown. Now, with situations like this, where you have a student that does some sort of violent action towards a staff member or another student, as a principal, I have to take actions. And if that means expelling the student, suspending the student for behavior that is disrespectful to the teacher or other students, that's my job. Some people out there may not agree with me. Okay?
My child is not going to come to school and chase anyone with a knife.
My job is to make sure that this school is safe for everybody. Okay? I know it's Surenda's story. I know she's upset, but that's the decision that I made and took it to the board, and they agreed. And now we're going to be having a meeting on Monday in regards to this situation. Okay? I know a lot of you out there may agree with me or may not agree with me, but being a principal, that's one thing that I will not accept, is that type of behavior at the school. I have to think about the staff and other students, their safety. We started lockdown drills 2 years ago because of what's happening in Yorkton and other schools. Okay? So that's, with the band member that was talking, like I said, that the thing is going to be dealt with on Monday with the school board. School board consists of parents from the school. Ted Cote, Sharon Whitehawk, Sam Taranjo, Clayton Severite, and Marion Whitehawk. Those are the school board members, and they're all parents that have kids going to the school, or grandparents. Is there any other questions?
I feel like my child is being condemned and already put in a category of a violent offender, the way it seems. Like, it's just getting worse and worse. I beg you, and I'm begging you again, to please let him come back to school. That's all he wants to do. He was excited yesterday when we came, and it didn't happen. Please, Jonas, I'm begging you, let my child come back to school.
I don't want to really, if I have to tell the audience what really happened between your grandchild and the teacher, and there was 2 incidents. Attempted the child attempted to throw something at the teacher. That was the first incident. Second incident, he actually threw something at the teacher.
And he asked to go to the bathroom and got suspended for 5 days. He got up and he asked her if they went out setting snares. You're big on culture here. He went and set snares with them, and he asked her if she set a snare. He got suspended. It's little things like that. Always suspended. Always ask He said it rudely. He looked at me rudely. He said it really loud. Well, he's a big kid with a loud voice, you know. And I'm just asking you, Jonas, if you have a heart, lighten up your heart, let this child back into school. That's what he wants, is just to come back. He needs his education. He's in grade 9, his marks are in the 80s and 90s. And you're talking, he's only 3 years away from graduating. Just help him.
That's what our plan is on Monday, but you have to know it. I understand every kid has a right to education. Everybody does. But you also cannot abuse that right. And some students do, out of being disrespectful and that. I'm sorry, but as a principal and as guidance from the school board, that's where it stands, and I will stand with any other student that shows disrespect or any type of action towards staff members or anything like that.
And as a grandmother,
I
I just want
understand.
my child to get an education and be treated fairly. That's all I want.
Brenda, I think there should be enough resources in our community that could help, like there's counselors and there's the help that we could step in that shouldn't step in and then work with the child and with the board. Like you hear a grandmother here and I'm a grandmother.
That's the plan on Monday that we do. We told Surrender that already, that we're going to be working on with it on Monday. And just a thing that I came up, the school is planning to go through Jordan's principal and INAC to try to get a full-time therapist and counselor at the school. But parents got to also realize that they also have to do their part at home. As the one elder said, that parents also have to try and start disciplining their students.
I do discipline him. I talk to him a lot. I did give him 2 counselors. He'll be seeing Jamie digitally. He'll be seeing Michael Gunn. You said to get him counselors. You told me that on Thursday, and I got him went to talk to Jamie on Thursday, and he agreed. He's seen him once already. And that should be able to help.
Yes, good afternoon. Anyway, I'm going to say this in a most respectful manner that I know how, because, if we're following tradition or Christianity or Catholic, we're supposed to be respectful anyway, and we're supposed to be honest. Like one of God's laws is thou shalt not make allegations, that kind of stuff. And then, there's 10 basic commandments, and in there's thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. And if we abide by those, we'll be okay. I worked for the public system for 15 years, Jonas, in Saskatoon. And I did a lot of advocacy work on behalf of children who were walking empty-handed into a classroom. And I know that many times I had to side for the child when they were expelled, because I said, what is that child learning at home? He's learning to join gangs, he's learning to sell drugs, he's learning to be violent, he's learning to be aggressive. And I know that one of the policies that governs us when we have to educate children is you have to have an alternate plan in place for that child. If you're expelled from the school, if they're under the age of 16, there has to be a plan in place. And as a parent, you're supposed, an educator's job is not to discipline a child or not to spend the entire day. That teacher's job is there to teach the child the basic math, the skills to read, the skills to prepare for a bigger world. So if a teacher is spending half an hour disciplining a child and working one-on-one with a child that's not behaving, call the parent in. Get like when I said I was a liaison worker, many times I had parents cringing because they're going to talk to this great big educator with a piece of paper that says they could disrespect that child and throw them out of their kingdom, which was called school. So a lot of times I was walking in there with a parent that was scared. Oh, what will I say? What can I possibly offer? I said, you know what? We're going to get on the same page. We're going to work with the parent. We're going to work with your child. We're going to work with the educator. And if we have to call the Board of Ed in, we'll sit here and we'll see what kind of decisions they make. And I'm sure that, this is just a small problem. And in order to alleviate problems, you have to go directly to that person that you're having a problem with, rather than if I have a problem with this girl and I go and tell the council who I don't like that lady at the store, then I've got that gang mentality. I should be able to walk around and say that I don't like the prices of your gas and that your grapes are cost more than in town. Why? You know, those kind of things. So let's try and be responsible. Let's try and stand up and be adults and behave in an adult manner, because the children are watching us. And if they see us bickering and fighting, then they're going to bicker and fight. Don't we want to create a better tomorrow for our children and our grandchildren? You know, and I also heard so sad that brighter guys left here. But anyway, Jonas, you know, I say that very respectfully, and Surrender, I say that very respectfully, but you know, you can't come here up in arms and say, oh, what the hell's going on here? And Jonas, you can't say, oh, what the hell's happening here? Come to a consensus, sit down respectfully and responsibly and work on it. It's easy. It's called the medicine wheel concept of problem solving, and it's a 3-step thing. Identify the problem, brainstorm a solution, there's 2 of you here already, and come up with an answer. And whatever you brainstorm, try and use it. And now, perhaps, you know, like, if we understand that the Education Act, when you have to have an alternate plan in place for kids that you kick out the door, I used to tell the educators this afternoon, don't send those kids home. You know what? I said, you're going to encourage misbehavior, because you know what? How many kids enjoy reading and writing? Not very many, I said. Let's try and get them to stay here. And if there's any consequences to be had, perhaps, Linda, your grandson, which is my grandson too, has to have some consequences at home. They can't just say, oh, I'm going to take his side. Maybe there is something wrong here. You know, we have to take accountability, and we have to take responsibility for ourselves and the path and the children that we're making a path with. And with that, I want to thank you guys.
Thank you, Ross. These are great words, and yes, we are working with Surrender in regards to this situation, and like I said, we have policies and that we have to follow, and hopefully it will be resolved in a positive manner.
One of the comments that we're talking about is that we're trying to get our education system going with more native input. And I've been to a few meetings where actually the communities that come together and talk about language and culture. And they're having one hell of a time because the leaders are not doing it. Emphasizing and all those guys. They refuse to do it. So they get to work from home, right? And I think that actually you said, why can't we just grab a whole bunch of horns and do it ourselves? You know? The hell do we need a province to approve what is right for us?
Exactly. That's what I was saying, is that we want to develop our own curriculum for pre-K to grade 9, but with the grade 10, 11, and 12, we still have to do with the provincial system, because we have a number that is provided by the province in order for the high school students to get their credits. But from pre-K to 9, we can develop our own curriculum. Yeah, there's a lot of First Nation schools out there that are doing that.
The white man is definitely scared of native history. Because of what they did in the years when they come here 600 years ago. They slaughtered 60 million natives in 3 years to make room for a European. And there were mass graves all over the place. We had a Serengeti that went down, right down central Canada. Like in Africa. That's why they slaughtered all the buffalo. Our results. And that kind of history, I think, is very important for our people. And that's where scalping came from. 25 cents for a baby scalp, 75 for a woman, $1 quarter for a man. And we were hunted down like animals. And that's the kind of history that we need to share with whoever doesn't know that history. Yeah.
And that's why
verbal history, it's not written. White men will never want to put that in a book.
That's what we're doing at the school here is with the teachers and that, like in the month of September, I told the teachers this talk about residential school.
Yeah.
Because they were recognizing residential school at the end of September. And these are a lot of things, and we are looking for resource people to come in and talk to the students and show the students about respecting that. I know a lot of resource people want funding in that. You know, it's hard to get resource people in here when they want money, you know.
Another thing I want to maybe mention is that, you know, they put us on a reservation, and the reservations that we put on are nothing less than prisoners of war camp. Now, what kind of status do we have on reservations, Native people? There's still prisoner of war camps, like a concentration camp. That's why we're scattered all over, divided and conquered. All that history's got to be told in the story where they had permit system. They sterilized our women, men, all that stuff. Not be afraid to talk. They need to know that. Anyway, I'll shut up and it comes out of my mouth.
Is that it?
My name is Ronald Pally. You guys know me. We're talking about residential school and the community here. My grandfather, John Pally, his great-grandfather, Joe Cote, and Joe Cote's dad was Gabriel. So John Pally told me at the time of the treaty, their cannons were lined up. Why did they wait for 3 days to go down the hill? Because Gabriel was chosen because he understood French. What he heard was, nobody knows this. He said, the general said, when the Indians all get in there, let the cannons fly. Because they're going to do what they didn't want to do. Let the cannons fly. And same thing with Sweetgrass. I had an elder say the same thing. And talking about the registered school, we weren't human until we got confirmed by a priest in 1959 in a bishop thing. Then we were human because he put a cross on our face. Our language is from the devil, our ceremonies is from the devil. How we couldn't even own anything, you know. If we killed one of our cattle, we could jail. My grandfather's brother got caught hunting rabbits off the river. He went to jail for 6 months. You know, little things like that, little things my grandparents told me that awful. And what we're going through right now is quickening every day. What's happening is we wish I had a war. My grandfather said, "Utility Martians could be in the north." That's missiles. And then he said, another one he said was, we still be pitch dark for 3-4 days. Now, I understand that again. This week was our journey. And then, but you know what I don't tell me, we understand different how we listen. Like little kids today, what's happening. And then we get dependent on under our kids. That basically in school. Where does it start? Everything starts at home. How we behave. Look how people in jail, they don't know the language. They don't know the commandments, how we talk. They go to the open, go to the ego. Echo. We don't listen to things today. Like I recommend the one time I heard in Francis, same thing up north. The people are playing. When I was a child, we went over there with my grandparents. And this is touching land. But what are they doing? They're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They're making parts and parts. And when I heard about the CNR or the claim, how far our return was going, Cote siding away past that way. Now that's not just here in Kamsat, it's one past that way. And they talk about Mr. Graham, continuing a little bag of change, making, they didn't know what they signed, and all of a sudden got kicked off.
Thank you. That's kind of stuff where we want at the school, like stories like that, people to come in and talk and so forth. Good.
Just comment on situation here in TJ by how it's approached by that relationship.
I didn't really get a chance, but I know there's probably something more to the situation than what I know. But anyway, I didn't get a chance to really talk to the lady about what the situation is all about with the boy. But my own situation I'm going to talk about. Everybody knows I'm raising a little boy that just turned 13 years old. And as we speak, it's in Yorkton, playing hockey, plays back in Double A, Yorkton Terrier, him and his little friend are in Cote. But he made a choice to come to PCA here after he started KCI last fall. That's why you want to go to say you want to be a part of the Indian school, coming here with the Indians, coming learn with his friends here at PCA with Cote. Of course, his name is perfect little boy. He's got his time. He gets himself into trouble, gets himself stubborn, this and that. I know the little boy. But I work with him quite a bit at home. And I talked to him. And he came home one day and looked at me and said, Dad, you know what? I want to go back to KC. Well, why? How about now you can't be supposed to play the same song every day. So I brought that to the attention of Jonas. He made that choice, wanted to go back. But he also explained why. As I teach at home, my boys, my girls, my grandchildren even now, that when you're not comfortable with something, what are you doing in that situation? Get your butt out of it and go somewhere where you are comfortable. And yeah, he said, I'm not comfortable at all. I know I got into some trouble with it. I know I deserve to be suspended sometimes, be sent home and all that. He said, I'm just not comfortable with the teacher, he said, you know. Oh, okay, well what? I don't know, it's something, I'm just not comfortable with the teacher. And I want to go before and things escalate, I just want to go back and teach that. So that's what we're doing in the process of taking him back to KCI. And I mentioned my situation because I think it's mentioned everybody knows that everything starts at home, you know. I've been a single parent now for 14 years or so, and I know it's tough, but I'm always willing to work with teachers, principals, leadership, counselors, or whatever, you know. I'm always there, and I'll certainly will come in as much as I put to the school to help out. May this.
Thank you, Reggie. That's it. Thank you for your time.
All right. Well, this is it. The last is now we'll have our closing remarks by our chief and then closing prayer. Okay?
Awesome. Well, we had a great day. You know, it was great to hear all the concerns of the people and, you know, the direction we're going to be taking now. You know, and I still want to continue on with the proposal or the recommendations that we as Chief and Council have been working on in regards to amending the trust agreements and working on our Constitution and working on the Election Act and working on retrofitting all our homes and continuing to go on with what I talked about earlier this morning. But once we get that plan in place, we'll meet again and we'll give copies of what the plan we have so that we can get input back from you guys. You know, really appreciate the prayers from the elder and the song, and we're going to be closing in prayer. We're going to be closing in song as well. And all the people that are on live stream, you know, I really appreciate you guys coming in. And before we get the elder's prayer, we'll have another draw there, Robbie. Yeah. 2 draws. You have to be here. You have to be here. You have to be here. Larissa Cote out here. Evelyn Gamber, not here. Johnny is gone. Desiree Cody, gone. Albert Cody. Oh, yeah. Bernie Friday was gone. Amanda Cody, gone.
I have to put in gas with yours.
Darlene Bryant, no, she's gone.
Just wait though, you gotta sign for.
Talon Subright.
Yeah,
Oh, All right, so I'd like to thank the chief and council that was here today, and the staff, and all the members, and all the people that were on live stream, our community navigators. You know, it's a great day. We can take something into this positive. You know, it's great to see all the concerns brought out, and that's what we can build on. You know, nobody go home feeling bad. Nobody go home feeling any animosity. You know, this is all constructive criticism, and it's going to work out to the betterment of our organization, to the betterment of our people. All right. So I'm going to get the.
Couple announcements. We have a meeting set for January.
Okay, the elders meeting is set for Thursday, January 18th, and then the following day, January 19th, Friday, is going to be the PIPA informational meeting with the three chiefs, and we'll have that at the Cote Band Hall.
There'll be 10 more draws at the Cote dinner.
What's that? January 18th and 19th? And the community dinner is on December 19th, 5 p.m. at the Band Hall. And there'll be 10 more draws there with the $100 gift certificates. And there's going to be some entertainment to Emery Burning Grass is going to be there. Emery Burning Grass, I think his real name is Ross Cadot. And there's also a church service on December 21st, 7 p.m. at the Band Hall as well. So, Elder, come sit. And give our chairperson a round of applause. I think he did a good job.
Thank you, Cote. Thanks. In reality, that boy is my grandson. His grandfather was an older brother of mine. So I'm always proud to see this boy come back to the community to help. I think he really needs a round of applause for that. You know, this guy, he's done a lot for the community since he's come back. So thank you, Bruce. And I'm just going to do a prayer, acknowledge the Creator in our language, and thank you all.
flies.
Want me to start unplugging stuff?
Just hang on. I'm gonna just stop.